All right, shalom to the 12 tribes, all praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, which is the name of the Father, and the Son, in the Paleo Hebrew tongue. Shalom to all you brothers and sisters that are either tuning in right now or be tuning in later. Today's lesson is going to be probably a short one, but a good one, especially for you brothers. Primarily, it's titled Seven Bible Lessons on Brotherhood and Manhood Through Martial Arts, and mainly through Jiu-Jitsu, but this pertains to all different types of martial arts that are actually real martial arts, right? So we're going to go ahead and start with the first lesson that you're going to definitely learn in martial arts, especially jiu-jitsu, or whether it be wrestling, Muay Thai, boxing, whatever art, because I know a lot of brothers reached out and said, well, I don't do jiu-jitsu, but I do this or that. But I would say jiu-jitsu is one of the most realistic art forms because 90% of fights do go to the ground. And if you don't train in jiu-jitsu or in wrestling, even if you train in wrestling and you don't do jiu-jitsu, you don't know about submissions and stuff, man, you'll be humbled very quickly, which is the first of the seven lessons we're going to go over real quick. So this is on humility.
This is Sirach chapter 3, verse 18. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before Yahweh.
So the greater you are, the more humble you're going to be. And I have seen this all through, especially in jiu-jitsu. Um, and I'll say this first, actually, disclaimer, because all these lessons you're gonna learn through jujitsu, but you have to obviously have the wisdom to see these things, the eyes and ears to see and hear, first of all. But also, you have to be at a gym or around people that are gonna help you to learn, because you will get. I've trained jujitsu for almost going on 14 years, right? And I've been to many gyms where people, they don't care if you get better, they don't care if if you're humble or prideful, whatever, and they're super prideful. But when you get to a good instructor, it's just like in this truth. There's some people out here that have a lot of wisdom, but they're prideful, and nobody wants to learn from somebody who's prideful,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this first lesson and all these lessons you will learn when you're around sincere and humble people, right? But it says the greater you are, the more humble you'll be. Some of the best jujitsu people that I know are the coolest, humblest, most down to earth people. They never try to start fights because they know they could fight, right? That's like it says, what the loudest one in the room
Always the
is the
weakest.
weakest, right? And the majority of the time, that's truth. That is true. You will have the rare occasion where maybe someone can fight and they're just a holes.
Yep. Yep.
They just either
1% of the time.
yeah. It's a small percent, very small percent of the time, but I've seen it as well, right? Some people just aren't all there. Some people, maybe they're short like me and they got Napoleon syndrome, right? I've seen that as well, but they can still fight. But for the most part, if you're a black belt in jujitsu, you're not gonna get to that level without being humble, right? If you want to read it one more time.
The greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before Yahweh.
Okay, if you want to get Proverbs 16 and 18. So the greater you are, the more you're gonna be humble. And like I said, the best people become humble, just like in this truth. The more you learn, the more you know, or like that saying, the more you know, the more you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So you gain more and more knowledge of the truth of the Bible, you gain more wisdom, and the more you're going to know, like, there's no way I could be close to having 100% truth or 144% truth.
Nowhere near.
It's impossible, right? And it's the same thing in jujitsu. There's always somebody better than you. You could be the best one in your school, in your city, maybe in your state, but there's always someone better than you.
Mm-hmm. It's always a bigger fish in the sea. Come to
Exactly,
swallow you up.
exactly, and that's why, like, that's one lesson that I learned very early, is because I would get in a lot of fights in high school, even in middle school a little bit, even and shit, even in fifth grade, I remember I got in a fight and I got my ass kicked. That was the only fight that I was like, damn, I got beat up, right? But later on, I started fighting more just because, I mean, really there was nothing else to do, and I was a troublemaker and stuff like that. But then when you go to jiu-jitsu and someone gets you on the ground, if you've never, like I said, if you've never fought on the ground and you don't know submissions,
Mm-hmm.
you are going to be at their mercy.
That's very true.
Literally, like they could pass, you could pass out and you could wake up in Mexico for all you know.
Dismembers.
Right? Go ahead.
It's Proverbs 16, verse 18. Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall.
So pride goes before destruction, and a haughty or high-minded spirit before a fall. And I know this as well because I never really went into a gym prideful, because at the beginning, I know I've told you this story before. Like the first time I was gonna go to a gym, I was super high, right? And I walked to it was in the wintertime, and at the school that I would go to, that they had AC, but they would never turn the AC on. It was with Johnny, right?
Mm-hmm.
They never used AC and stuff. So I walked and I looked through the window and it was all fogged up, and I saw everybody in there going hard, like just sparring, right? And I was like, nah, you know what? F this. Like, I'm too high. I'm gonna take off. And I left and I came back later. That's how fearful I was, right? But it's because I was pretty high too, you know.
Yeah, pretty lit.
And but anyways, the point is, I was never that prideful, but I've seen time and time again where prideful people will go in the gym and they either get humbled and then they'll stay and do better, or they just let their pride get the best of them. They get pissed off and they never come back.
Yep.
Right. And that's a lot of people, you know. I remember one dude that he was like, oh, I'm 50 something and no, in street fights, I don't know what. And first day, and he wanted to spar and all this. And nobody wanted to spar with him because, I mean, when they're new, you know, right? If they say, no, I've never done jujitsu, but I know how to fight,
Right.
that's already a red flag in someone's who's experienced mind, right? But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, our coach sparred with him. Long story short, he was throwing punches really hard. My coach flipped him over, and he landed like on his head and his shoulder, and he dislocated his shoulder.
Dang.
And he was pissed off. He was like, "Man, why did you do this?" Blah blah blah. And he's like, "Bro, you're the one that came in here acting all the way you were acting." And pride literally came before his fall.
Yep.
Right? So this definitely will teach you pride. I mean, teach you that pride will come before the fall. And it'll teach you that humility is necessary to get better at anything in life. Because if you're prideful and think you know it all and you can't get any better, no one can teach you, well then you never will get better. Right?
I think a lot of people suffer from pride too.
Oh,
I,
for sure.
I know it was one of the first like videos I had ever made was about pride, but like looking at it from a biblical man perspective, obviously any real biblical man in their right mind not gonna allow themselves to become prideful. But I know there are people out here who get a taste of what it really, or how I want to say it. They get a taste of being the quote unquote head of a household, being the chief in the house, and then all of a sudden they go to the head.
Or the head of a congregation or
Yep.
camp or whatever the case may be, right?
You name it.
And that's why, like the brother said, I mean, it is a huge problem even in the faith, right?
Mm-hmm.
Certain brothers that I've known from before, and then they start, teaching, or whether it be, I'm talking about more in the faith, but it can also be in jujitsu or in martial arts, etc. They get a little bit of knowledge, and like it says, knowledge puffeth up, right? It puffs them up
Yeah.
and gets them to the point where you can't tell them nothing, you can't be corrected. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why, and I say this humbly, that's the main reason why I've gotten better, is because I know I can learn anything. I can learn from anybody, whether it's a black belt all the way down to a white belt, a new person. I remember sometimes, a white belt would be like, well, oh, that's cool in the move, but what happens if I put my hand on this side? And then you're like, you know what? I've That's happened, and then this, and you never really like conceptualized it, or never thought like, that's what, when they do this, that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it really makes you examine more. And anybody, you can learn from anybody, and you can only be like that if you're in a spirit of humility.
That's very true.
Right? So which brings us to the next one. If you want to go to First Thessalonians 5:21, I'm gonna go to Sirach too, but we can go to First Thessalonians 5:21. So going along with what I'm saying, a lot of prideful people will come into martial arts gyms, and they'll say, I can fight, and this. I'm 50-0. Like I said, that one dude that came into the gym, but the word says that we have to prove everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Go ahead.
It's First Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 21. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good.
So it says, prove all things is the main point we're going to get from this, right? And he's reading out of the King James version.
Mm-hmm.
In the New King James version, it actually says test all things, right? So both ways. The second lesson, jujitsu or martial arts will teach you is it's going to test you and it's going to make you prove yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whether you read First Thessalonians 5:21 in the KJV, prove all things, or in the new KJV, it says test all things. You're going to be tested in martial arts, and you're going to have to prove yourself. Like this brother just got his first stripe this past week, and when I gave it to him, I was like, "Look, you earned it. You weren't just given it, right? He proved himself with sweat and a little bit of
A
blood
little bit of blood.
over the last year of training, right?
A few strained muscles.
And some, yeah, exactly. But the point is, and I told him, you proved yourself, and before the last couple times we trained, I know he could tell I was kind of testing him a couple times.
Yeah.
He didn't know what the reason was for,
Yeah.
but it's like I told him. Me and my rib were watching an episode of what did I tell you? I just told you what it's called.
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. We just started watching it, and one of the dudes said, "Life, everything in life is a test. Don't let anybody convince you otherwise."
Mm-hmm.
Right? Everything is a test, and in martial arts, you should see it that way. When you're tired, it's a test. When someone's asking you a question, it could be a test.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody's going easy on you, it might be a test. When someone's going hard on you, it's probably a test.
Mm-hmm.
When the coach is watching how you're either helping or just destroying the new person, that could be a test too, right? So everything is a test, and in martial arts, again, like it says prove all things, test all things. You can't fake it on the mats,
Nah.
right? You can't fake it. And unfortunately, I've been to a few martial arts gyms, right? I've trained here in South Texas. I've trained in Corpus, San Antonio, even in Colorado. And there are some people or some martial arts gyms or instructors that are fakes. They could say, I'm a this belt in whatever, but then when you put them to the test, they're not really that, right? And that's just like in many churches. Many churches fake it.
As a
Right?
man, you really got to be able to prove yourself in all aspects, or pass the tests of life, so to speak.
For sure. And that's why I like the word of the faith and comparing it to martial arts, because you have like a perfect correlation between fake fighting and like in churches where I've been to, and it's fake holy.
Yep.
Where
them fruits at?
It's fake holy. The brother Shalom Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakatah. The brother Daniel Allah said, Khan, it's not that deep, but it is. It's not that deep, but it is. Yeah, it is.
I agree with you.
It is. So the thing that I always try to keep in mind, because I was blessed enough, like this brother has been saying, as of late, it's cool that we had skills before coming into the faith, and then we bring them into the faith and keep up with them, but also are able to use them for different things more pertaining to building up ourselves in the faith. Right? And that was one thing that I always saw, because me and my rib, we went to Christian churches before the faith. We've been together 10 years, more than 10 years, but we've only been in the faith six and a half, maybe.
Call it 7.
Right? Almost 7. And that's one thing I definitely saw. That correlation between fake fighting people, oh yeah, man, I can fight, blah, blah, blah. And then I roll with them and I tap them out 5 times in a 3-minute round. You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, you said you've been training this long, right? And then you had people, I remember one of the churches we went to, it was like a young, not youth, young adults, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we were in it, and then we come to find out the dude that was teaching it, who was preaching about holiness, all this stuff, he was sending pictures with another dude's wife,
Whew.
and he ended up getting kicked out of the church. And he was the one everyone's looking up to and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So in martial arts and in jiu-jitsu, you have to prove yourself by being tested. And in Christian churches, again, for example, most doctrines, if you think about it,
Yep.
they are not tested.
No, they're not. It just people just take it for what at face value. That's what it is.
Con.
They'll say anything in today's time, and it's funny because how you're making a reference to like in modern like churches and stuff like that. I see this often in the faith as well too. But you get somebody of high reverence it's in today's time, and then they'll tell you something,
Con.
but nobody actually goes and questions it or proves it. You know what I'm saying? Or anything like that. You just kind of take it for what it is, and that's the downfall for a lot of people.
Con.
A lot of men out here not really men; they just beta males. If you think about it.
Con. And like the brother said, like the fake instructors and fake pastors, and it's true. Going along with what this brother y'all saying is, you'll have certain people that just because they have a title or a position in a church, for example, and then everybody just has to, they don't have to, but they feel as though they have to just go along with whatever they say. They can't question it, they can't test it, he doesn't need to prove it, right? And that would come along with like, that's why I stopped going to the apostolic church that me and my rib were at, when we before we came into the actual faith. I started reading the word for myself, and I was like, wait, hold up though. It says this, but he was saying this. And then when they can't be questioned, you already know that's a red flag, right? Everybody should have to prove what they're teaching, just like in martial arts, right? You have fake instructors, and then some of them, they'll teach you something, but then it's like, hold up, but if this was a real fight, that wouldn't even work though, because this and this.
Let me see you do it.
Right? Or let's see you try it on me then, right?
Yeah.
Or let's go live, and see if it actually works. So everything has to be proved. And if you want to get Sirach chapter 2,
Okay.
Baba Kashaw, everything has to be proved, and everybody has to be tested in order for them to show that it's actually real. Whether it be the doctrines that we're teaching, you have to be able to show it's in the Word, in the Bible, or whether it be the fighting, right? That would be like me and you, Ak. I'm teaching you everything, but then we never spar, and I'm never showing you that I can even do anything. You know what I mean? That would be a red flag right there. Like, well, can't you actually show me, right? And like the brother said, you have to show with your works. And a lot of people, a lot of pastors, from my experience, or preachers or priests or whatever you want to call them, they don't show with their works that what they're teaching or what they're preaching is actually how they're living.
Okay.
If you want to start on verse 1.
Okay. Sirach chapter 2, verse 1. It's funny because I was reading this chapter earlier today. It says, "My son, if thou come to serve Yahweh, prepare thy soul for temptation."
Prepare your soul for temptation, right?
Another word for temptation is testing.
Con. This is, I'm getting in the GNT, the Good News Translation. It says, my child, if you are going to serve the Lord, be prepared for times when you will be put to the test, right? Be prepared for times when you will be put to the test. Not you might be put to the test.
It's coming.
You will be put to the test. So if you're trying to get a black belt in jiu-jitsu, if you're trying to get a higher position at a job, if you're trying to build up your own business, if you're trying to prove a brother or sister because y'all are courting and you're seeing if you're going to be married, if you're trying to serve the Most High, you're trying to follow the word, you will be put to the test. And that's, again, another correlation with jiu-jitsu or martial arts is, if you're going to try to get better, a guarantee is you're going to be put to the test, right? Go ahead.
Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble.
Con. So it says in the GNT, be sincere and determined, keep calm when trouble comes. And that brings us to the next point, which is in jiu-jitsu. So what do you think is the reason why, I'm asking you, So he's been training for about a year or about a year and a month. And what do you think's the biggest? And of course, there's a lot of things. But what do you think's the biggest reason as to why back then when we first started, you would get tired right away, and now you can go for a much longer time without getting tired?
The biggest reason of why I used to get so tired so fast was because I didn't understand how to actually keep calm in like high pressure situations when it comes to the mats. It's like Bobby Womack said in one of his songs. He said something about how like everybody thinks that they'll do this and that in a situation, but when you get put to the test, it's really gonna show. Like when you actually get put under pressure, it's really gonna show what you're really gonna do. So I used to get tired a lot because I didn't know how to keep calm. I used to like be real sporadic and stuff like that. He'll put me in a weird position, and then I'll try to use all my energy, burn all my fuel out and stuff. And that was like the number one thing that got me.
Con, con. I agree 100% because I was the exact same way. I remember when I was doing boxing as like a teenager and even younger than that, and it was the same thing. Same thing in jiu-jitsu. When you're put under pressure, if you've never been put under pressure like that, your first reaction is going to be to react in a way that is like this.
Yep. Yeah.
Right? It catches you off guard. You've never been in that position before, so you can't keep calm. You literally can't keep calm.
Because you ain't comfortable. You know, it's your first time going through it.
Yep, you're not prepared for it, right?
That's what he said in the song. He said, you don't know what you do until you put under pressure. That's what he said.
Yep. There's a boxer. I forgot his name. His name's something Bradley. Um, he's like a Michael Jordan bald dude. You know what I'm talking about or no?
Bradley, a basketball player?
No, boxer.
Oh, boxer?
I forgot his first name, but he said one time something along the lines of every boxer thinks he's a lion till he gets in the ring and the fire's put on his ass and he's up against another lion. Mm-hmm. Then you're gonna see who the real lion is, right? And it's until and this chapter talks about, you know, you're put to the test. It says gold is tested in the fire, right? In the furnace. Mm-hmm. So once you're put under that pressure, you're gonna feel what it's really like. And some people handle it better than other people at their first time. But I guarantee you, for the most part, nobody's going to be able to stay calm when that trouble or when that pressure comes, right? And that's one thing that, especially jujitsu, because you're put under literal pressure.
That's real.
Right. You're literally put under pressure. It teaches you the importance of being calm and not just being calm, though. That it starts with, I just need to learn how to breathe.
Yep.
Don't freak out. Yeah, this dude's smashing me. He's got his knee on my stomach. I can barely breathe.
Yep.
Right? Or he's putting pressure on me, and he could literally just be punching me in the face right now.
Yep. Elbows.
Right. But then as you get better, it's being calm and also relying on wisdom or technique as opposed to emotion. Because emotion is like, okay, explode and get out of here. He's on top of me. Explode and just throw him off. I'm strong, right? I'm going to see red and I'm going to just throw him off of me. But that doesn't actually work in a real fight when the person you're going against actually knows what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So again, Sirach 2 and 2, this is the GNT. It says, be sincere and determined. Keep calm when trouble comes. You want to read verse 3 and 4, Babakasha?
Verse 3. Cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate.
So when you step into a jiu-jitsu gym or an MMA gym, you're going to be put in a low estate. Mentally, but also physically. You get taken down, you're going to be flat on your back, and someone's going to be on top of you putting pressure on you, right? And it's a position that anybody who starts doing jiu-jitsu or starts doing, it could be wrestling or MMA, like I said, when you're first put there, you don't know what to do. It's a complete humility, point of humility,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like this brother said many times, like you got to hit rock bottom. You got to be at the bottom. Like it can't get no worse than this.
Yeah.
So imagine now, which is going to bring us to one of the next points, is imagine putting yourself, like deliberately putting yourself in that position. I could never get worse than this. You've never trained before. You are going to learn humility. You are going to learn, or you're going to have to learn how to be calm and start learning techniques and rely on that technique or that wisdom in order to get better, as opposed to relying on emotion or relying on, I'm just going to explode out of here, right?
I think that, and before you keep going, I just want to add on there. I really do think that right there is like, if I had to put it in like top two, I think that's definitely like one of the top two things is learning how to be calm in all situations as a man.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my experience so far from doing jujitsu, especially since we started going to the gym and stuff like that up there, there would be situations and stuff where I would find myself going against other grown people that I've never, trained with before. And I would, me being the new person, I'm getting put in these uncomfortable, high pressure situations, and it's very, very uncomfortable. And people trying to take my breath away. They got the knee on my chest, and I got to sit here and breathe and focus. And there were times in the moment, literally, this is me being vulnerable to y'all. There was times in the moment where through my mind, I'm thinking to myself, like, damn, I just want to give up right now. It's so much pressure. But as a man, you can't do that, though. You got to be like, nope. Because you got to ask yourself the question, what would a lion do, right? Like how the brother mentioned. Everybody think they a lion, right? I didn't go in with that mentality, but if you plan on being lion-hearted, if you plan on being a real man, you gotta be like a lion. You gotta have the mentality of like, I'm gonna fight to the death. You know what I'm saying? I could be in a very high pressure situation right here, and it may be the most uncomfortable thing, but you can't just roll over and die.
Con, and that's like, I can't remember which one of the Gracies has said it. Um, for those of y'all who don't know if you heard of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, but those are the people that brought Gracie Jiu-Jitsu or Jiu-Jitsu to the United States and to this area, this region, the Americas in general. Um, One of them had said like you have to be like an animal in there, because an animal doesn't care or doesn't think about, like, okay, let's say they're gonna go try and take get a meal, right?
Mm-hmm.
They gotta go out there and kill something and eat a meal. They don't think about like, oh, I'm tired.
Yeah.
They don't think about, oh, my leg is hurt. They're like, no, I'm gonna go get this meal. That's what they're thinking about,
I don't have a choice.
right? You don't have a choice, and literally, you don't think like I have a choice. An animal doesn't think I have a choice. I'm just not gonna, right? It's either like death. If they don't eat, they're gonna die.
Straight up.
So you should look at it, and I'm not saying you should fight to the death and all that, but you should train with that mentality of like, I'm never gonna give up, because you got to put yourself in that situation. It's like Johnny had said that one time, like, oh, some of y'all just sit there, like you just let them in your house and do whatever to you,
just
right?
come and take all your stuff.
Yeah, and you have to have that sort of mentality in order to get good or to get better when it comes to jiu-jitsu, martial arts in general, right? So the importance of being calm and relying on technique as opposed to emotion, or in the truth, in the faith, relying on wisdom instead of emotion, because you're going to be, we know, just like in jiu-jitsu, we're talking more about martial arts, but in life you're going to be put through way more tests, way harder tests, mentally harder tests, right? And you're going to be put under pressure, and you need to learn how to not give into your emotions,
Yeah.
when, or even into your mind,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of people have a I guess you would say like a broken mind, right? Like
Yeah.
a broken, as a man, I mean, more so, right? Or if you want to get Proverbs 25:28, it goes along with what you were saying as well, right? Where it talks about a city that's broken down.
Yeah, because the thing is, as a man, I've learned as well too. As a part of me growing up, you know what I'm saying. Before I got to the point where I was at, is the simple fact that when you have situations like that pop up, where the tests start coming, you're not gonna always have somebody to sit there and ask them a question about what you think or what would you do and stuff like that. So, like how you said, you got to rely on wisdom for one, and you got to trust yourself enough. Like how I say in Sirach, trust your own soul, trust what you know according to the scriptures to handle it the proper way, not emotional.
Con. And I'm gonna finish this real quick, and then we'll get that. So this is the same
Mm-hmm.
chapter we're reading, Sirach 2, and it's the GNT. It says, verse 4: accept whatever happens to you, even if you suffer humiliation. Be patient. So take that like for any lesson in life. You have to accept whatever happens to you. How many people have you met in life, or maybe, yeah, I know this happened to us at least a couple of times too. Something happens and I can't believe this is happening, right? Oh my, is this a dream? Oh, please just let me wake up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
how many people does that happen to? But how is that going to help you in life?
Hang on. That's that victim mentality, bro.
Exactly. And we've all done that before, right?
At some point, yeah.
At some point, we've all done that before. But there's some people that just live this out and they carry that victim mentality their whole life. It's because this happened to me and this, and you don't understand when I was younger, this, and they carry it with them their whole life, and they let it destroy their whole life.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to be like or unsensitive, something like that, but you have to understand, like, what happened to us, sometimes it's not our fault, like Job, right?
Yeah.
We're going to reap what we sow, but sometimes inadvertently, maybe we're hanging around the wrong people. Maybe our parents are wicked, whatever the case may be. Something happens to them, and then something happens to us.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not your fault, or you're not responsible for it. But as you get older, you have to realize that you're responsible with dealing with it,
Yeah.
and getting past it.
90% of the time, it is your fault.
Oh, yeah.
If we really want to be frank, that's the problem that people, like how you were saying with the victim mentality. A lot of people, he was telling me this earlier when me and him was talking. A lot of people, what's the other quote you had put about being real with yourself? A lot of people have a problem with being honest with themselves. That's the thing. A lot of people don't like to have that serious conversation. You know what I'm saying?
The quote was something along the lines of, you always have to be honest with yourself, but in order to be, oh no, you always have to be honest with everyone. But in order to be honest with everyone, you have to first be honest with yourself.
That's very true.
And that's the problem. Most people aren't honest with themselves, right? Whether it comes to their spiritual life, whether it comes to their financial life, whether it comes to their relationships, how they deal with, their parents, their loved ones, their children, maybe their wives or husbands, or how they deal with what we're talking about, health, right?
Yeah.
If you're unhealthy, well, guess what? You got to deal with that. You got to come to grips with, it's nobody's fault but my own fault if I'm unhealthy, if I'm not taking care of my temple.
Yeah.
Right? You got to come to grips with the fact that if you're giving up every time in jiu-jitsu, because I told this brother, there was a wrestling coach, and he had said, how did they say it? Quitting's not an option. He would say that. He was saying that, and then he was like, that's the most BS I've ever heard. Quitting is the most readily available option we have.
It is.
And in jiu-jitsu, you'll see over the years, man, I can't tell you how many times I've seen where there's people that they want to quit. Like, say I'm or me or someone else is just smashing them, right? We're going hard and they just want to quit. They're waiting for you to put a submission in so they could just tap out.
Yep.
And a lot of times what I'll do is, I'm like about to get in there, I'm like, all right, I'm letting you go. I'm gonna make you keep going. Like, I'm gonna push you to do better, right? Because that's what I was going along the lines with a broken spirit or a broken mentality, a broken man. That's what broken men do. They quit. They quit and quit and quit. And a lot of times it's all in your mind. You're making things worse in your mind than they actually are in reality.
I was just telling somebody that.
But if you want to read that.
This is Proverbs chapter 25, verse 28. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls.
So going along with the importance of being calm, right, and relying on wisdom or on technique, wisdom in life, which is the word, but also, general wisdom, right, and not emotion. This is what you have to be able to do in order to remain calm, or in order to rule your own spirit. You have to remain calm, because all somebody has to do is get you upset. They get a rise out of you, and now you're not calm no more, and now you start acting emotionally, And now you can see it like you've seen, I'm sure everybody's seen that happen where maybe somebody says something to someone and you could literally, as soon as they say it, you see their emotions coming out of them. They don't even have to say nothing.
All you can do is it's all written all over your face.
It's right. No poker face.
Nothing.
And we have to learn, especially as men. Women are the weaker vessel according to the Bible, right? According to First Peter, what is it, 3:7, I believe. Mm-hmm. Women are the weaker vessel, especially emotionally. But we as men, especially as husbands and as fathers, have to learn how to rule our spirit, and in order to be able to deal with women, especially. Because how's it going to be? How are we going to help out women that are more emotional if we're emotional ourselves?
And that's the number one reason why I think that's one of the most important ones out of all things, to be honest, is because of that right there. Exactly. If you, as the head honcho, since we're the head and she's the rib, that means we're one body, we're one flesh, just like how we're all part of the body of a Mashiach, right? If we're the head, and the head get bust wide open and now it's leaking blood all out of it, what's gonna happen to the body? It's gonna collapse. Just like that.
And that's why the system in general, they go after the man, they target the man, because you cut off the head and so falls the body. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's why in jiu-jitsu too, they'll tell you, and I'm sure I told you before or mentioned it, like crossface, when you're in side mount, and you cross face with your elbow,
very uncomfortable.
When you're on top of somebody, you use your shoulder to push on their chin, and it makes their head turn to the opposite side. When you do this, their head is facing away from you, right? And if their head is facing in one direction, their body can't go in the opposite direction. Mm-hmm. The body can only follow their head, right? In jiu-jitsu. But it's the same thing in a marriage. Yep. If a head starts going off, guess what? The body is going, that it can't go completely right because the head is going off. Mm-hmm. Right? So actually I'm gonna read one more verse on Sirach 2. This is Sirach 2:5. In the GNT it says, gold is tested by fire, and human character is tested in the furnace of humiliation. Mm-hmm. Trust the Lord and he will help you. Walk straight in his ways and put your hope in him. So now here it's saying trust in the Most High, trust in Yahweh, and he'll help you. In martial arts and jiu-jitsu, you have to learn to trust in technique, because that is wisdom in martial arts, as opposed to emotion. Yeah. Right? So if you want to go to Matthew 24:13. So another lesson that you learn from this, what is this? Number, I don't know, I think it's like 4 or 5. It is deliberately, I kind of mentioned this earlier, deliberately stepping out of your comfort zone and then enduring through whatever situation you put yourself in.
Mm-hmm. Because you got to go all the way.
We're just talking about it earlier.
Can't half-step it, man. Ain't no half-stepping. You got to go all the way. It's Matthew chapter 24, verse 13. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved.
So you have to endure unto the end to be saved in the faith, right? Spiritually. But also in jiu-jitsu, in wrestling, in Muay Thai, in boxing, in MMA, whatever the case may be, in martial arts, it's the same thing. You have to learn how to endure through whatever you're going through in order to get better, in order to achieve whatever goal it is, whether it's you want to be a black belt, or whether it is you just want to attain a lot of skill, know how to defend yourself, defend your family, etc. Mm-hmm. Right? But the thing that the prerequisite to that, I would say, is you have to first deliberately step out of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And most people aren't willing to do that. Whether it be in martial arts, you got to step out your comfort zone. Whether it be you're starting your own little small business for yourself, step out your comfort zone. Whether it be getting a job, like, man, I don't know if I can even handle this, but it's the pay, man, is good. I have an opportunity. You know what I mean? You got to step out your comfort zone.
You got to step out your comfort zone and everything.
With everything, anything good, you're gonna have to, in one way or another, you're gonna have to step out your comfort zone deliberately, and then you have to endure through it. Like how many people have you told the truth to over these years? A lot,
Man, I
right?
can't even count.
Exactly. Same here. Now, how many of them have actually followed through with it? I know a lot of people, whether it be my family, my ribs family, or just people I've met, acquaintances, people met on the street even, and they seem like they're accepting of the truth.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say, I believe it and I this and that, but will they endure? Will they step out of their comfort zone and actually start following it and then endure through it? Right? Because like we just read in Sirach 2 and 5, it says that human character is tested in the furnace of humiliation.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be put through the fire, and a lot of people get humiliated. They feel humiliated by following the truth.
Didn't your house shy say anybody who's what do you say?
Who denies me?
Yeah, if you deny me, I'm gonna deny you.
Khan.
Yeah.
And he's the word. So when somebody says, "Oh yeah, man, do you believe this or that?" and you don't really want to say because you're humiliated, or you just kind of change the subject, or I know of people that haven't done what the word says because they were afraid of what other people thought about them or what other people said about them, and that's humiliation.
It's kind of like what Peter did. Peter denied him 3 times when they kept on asking. That's what people do today's time.
Con. But yeah, so you're gonna have to deliberately and not only just deliberately, but like courageously step out of your comfort zone and then endure through it. It's like David when Goliath was calling out all Israel.
I know that. I know that was an uncomfortable situation.
And nobody from Israel, all of Israel's warriors, right? Everybody in that army, that nobody wanted to fight him. Mm-hmm. They were all scared. You think David was comfortable because it said they said you're just a boy, you can't fight him.
Yeah.
Right? He had he had no fighting experience besides what? With his sling.
That's it. He was slinging.
Right? He was slinging stones.
Smiting the little animals that came try to get him.
Shoot, a bear and a lion too. Mm-hmm. But the point is, I'm sure he wasn't comfortable with doing that, but he courageously went out there and look, the Most High guided his hands. He had faith and he had works because he went out there and actually did it. Mm-hmm. Right? If you want to get Joshua 1, is it 1:8 or 1:9?
1:8.
Okay, come on.
1.
Oh no, 1:9. Yeah, be strong and of good courage.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, 1:8 is this book shall not depart from your mouth. Con, you can get that real quick. So being courageous, the brother read Matthew 24:13, right? You have to endure to the end. Like this brother was just saying earlier when we were talking, you can't half step with things. You got to do everything. When you do something,
go.
You got to do it. It's like it says in Ecclesiastes 9:10. It says, whatever your hand finds to do it with all your might. Mm-hmm. Right? You got to do it with all your might. But go ahead.
This is Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. Have not I commanded thee? Be strong and of a good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For Yahweh thy God is with thee, whithersoever thou goest.
So no matter where you go, if you're obedient to the Father, he's with you. So you shouldn't be afraid or dismayed, meaning nervous or worried all the time. You should be strong and of good courage.
And I want to add this in there too, since we're talking about this too, because when I first came into the truth, I had to build up my courage, and it's just me being honest with y'all, because I didn't really understand this fully just yet. Because the way I thought about it was, I understand that the Most High can give you the Spirit and he can take it away from you at any given point in time.
Come.
But there are certain things that the Most High does in your life to show you that he's with you, just like how he did with Israel. But when you ask yourself the question, okay, why did he kill off so many of them in the wilderness? Was because he showed them all these things to tell them this. and they still were being fearful and they still were being doubtful about it.
Kind.
So it just comes a point in time where you have to develop a level of courage, like how it says here in Joshua 1:9, right? You have to. There's a different level of courage and confidence that you have when you understand that the Most High is with you the whole time.
Con. And I like that you said confidence too. The water Shalom Mak Yohanatan's house on YouTube.
Hey man, shout out to my guy, man. Shalom, brother.
If y'all don't follow him on YouTube, Yohanatan's house. Yeah, Shalom. The water for posting the verse. It says, "Have not I commanded thee? Be strong and of a good courage." So, like the brother said, not only good courage, but courage goes hand in hand with confidence. Mm-hmm. And that's one question that I would get a lot from other people, because like my first MMA fight was in 2012. So that's already what, 12, almost like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? So more than a decade, right? It's a baker's dozen.
Man.
But anyways, other people coming up, one thing they would ask, a lot of men would ask, was how do you like gain confidence? Because everybody's confident, but as that fight comes closer and closer and it gets realer and realer, it's like, hold on, like I'm about to this dude's gonna try to elbow me and knee me and kick my head off and choke me unconscious and embarrass me in front of all my family and it starts sinking in, right? And what I would always tell them, at least for me, this is 100% true. And because some people can have false confidence, right? They can go in there and they literally think they're gonna win, but they don't have the skill to win. I've seen so many people like that. Like they literally think they're gonna win and they're good enough to win, but they're horrible technically, or their cardio is horrible, etc. But to have real confidence is gonna come with seeing what you're doing and that it's working, but knowing also that what you're doing and the work you're putting in consistently. So whether it be in the truth, like you're studying and you're applying, and you're studying and you're applying, and as you're doing this, the Most High is blessing you and He's helping you in all areas of life. And as you see that, it's going to build up your faith. And as it builds up your faith, it builds up your confidence, because you see like, okay, I'm doing this and look, good things are coming out of it. And it's the same thing with training. It's like, man, I see myself, I'm getting stronger, I'm getting faster. You know, it's like you keep saying, Knock, like your mind, a lot of times in fighting, you don't know what to do at the beginning. Then you learn what to do and you have it up here in your head. But then your body's got to catch up. You got to drill it and get your body to line up with, as soon as you think about it, boom, you're doing it. And then after that, it becomes muscle memory, to where you're just doing it because you've done it so many times.
Your body doing the thinking for you.
Right? And at that point, you're just like, oh, damn, like, look, he did this and I got him in a triangle. Oh, he did this and I caught him with the jab, because you've been doing it so much that it just becomes second nature. And once it's to that point, you're gonna have confidence because you see it working over and over and over.
Man, it made me think of this situation, man, that happened to me in the truth, where a situation popped up, and like how the brother just mentioned, leading up to a fight, you start getting these nerves and stuff in your body as it's all sinking in. You realize, like, okay, oh my goodness, it's here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's actually here right now. And then in my situation, it was the same way. And in my body, because of how much repetition and over time, right, my body just naturally knew to, like, do what wisdom tells me to do. Just relax, stay calm. Like the brother mentioned, with another one of the points, stay calm. You're applying all these principles that he's going over. And then next thing you know, the Most High came through. Because I had confidence. I stayed calm. I trust the technique. That's what it was. I've been through it a few times now. So yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Calm. And that could go along with anything in life in general. But it's just like, for example, you don't know how you're gonna get through a certain situation, whatever it may be. You have the opportunity there, and like I said earlier, everything in life is a test. Let's say you're going through something, like, man, I don't know how this is going to work out, but you know what? I trust you, right? Telling the Most High in your prayer.
Not false trust.
Yeah, or you could just freak out and, oh my God, I don't know how this is going to, and blah, blah, blah. And you get all emotional. And then if we would have read, or actually we did read that in the KJV too. It says, make not haste in time of trouble. Because when you're hasty, so from experience and not in jujitsu, if you freak out, like when you were newer, greener, you get in a bad position and you freak out, what's gonna happen?
Well, if you freak out, you're gonna burn your energy out, and you literally gonna put yourself in a worse position. I promise you. I put myself in a bad position so many times he ain't had to put no work in to do what I did to myself.
And when you make haste to get out of trouble, the majority of the times that's what happens. You just put yourself in a worse position. And that's why you have to stay calm. Like I said, you have to stay calm and rely on wisdom and not emotion. Because emotion is like this. Quick. Emotion, you want to just get yourself out of whatever situation it is quick. Right? And that's why when you look at kids, right? If kids get in trouble, and I know because I got a couple young ones, is sometimes it'll happen to where, let's say they get in trouble, and let's say, just for example, you hear something break in the other room, and you get, hey, what was that? And you go over there, who did this? And if they're emotional and they're afraid, right, they might real quick, it wasn't me, right? And it was them, but they were just so freaked out and emotional. And then, you'll be like, all right, you know what? One of y'all needs to tell me the truth. Who did it? Whatever. And then once they calm down, all right, it was me. Well, why'd you lie? I don't know. It's because they were emotional. Right? And a lot of times that's happened with me before, where I'm talking to brothers or sisters, and I'll even like counseling. Yeah, I can think of one thing. And I was talking to a couple, and I kind of put one of them on the spot. And look, remember you said this, blah, blah, blah. And then, no, I didn't say that. And then I told the other one, I was like, you heard when this person said that, right? And it was like, yeah, I caught that. Like, that was, they straight up just lied. But the reason that the person lied was because they were put on the spot. And instead of remaining calm, relying on wisdom, which tells you, tell the truth, you get emotional, and you're right away. You just want to, you're going to say the wrong thing. You're going to do the wrong thing. And that's why you can't make haste.
And now you're worse off.
And now exactly. Now you're worse off, just like in jiu-jitsu. You, oh man, he's put me in a bad position. Let me get out of this. And you turn the wrong way, and now you're getting choked out. And now it's over. Right? So again, going back to the other point, though, is deliberately getting out of your comfort zone, courageously putting yourself in tough positions. And because later on in life, it's like, who was it? I believe it was Joe Rogan that has said it a long time ago. I heard him say, like, he'll go and do something super hard, whether it be jiu-jitsu or whether it be a really hard workout in the morning, and then the rest of his day, even if he's got little problems here or there, it seems so much easier because he's like, man, I just put myself through hell in the workout and then rolling, doing jiu-jitsu, sparring, whatever. And now this, it seems like it's so much easier. It's like I'm not literally getting punched in my face. You know what I mean? And if I can keep calm when someone's literally trying to choke me unconscious or snap my arm,
trying to take my life,
right? Then dealing with other people when they say something wrong or they're being rude is gonna be a whole lot easier, right? Success journey, Shalom, beloved, mashpacha, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Barakatah.
Barakatah.
So, let's see, what other ones did I have here written down? If you want to get Proverbs 27:17, I got two more, and then we'll go ahead and close it out. Going on an hour already. That's good though.
Literally reminds me of, I had a situation earlier today at work, man, where it tested my patience to see if I was gonna stay calm and be emotional or moving with wisdom. Wisdom told me don't act out because I could lose my job. Emotion said snap on them. I followed wisdom.
And like I said, it can be hard sometimes, you know. It can be hard sometimes.
But it was very tempting. I tell you that it was very tempting. It's like I think I said this to you before, but the way I see it is like emotion is like a little bitty fire, like it's like a little bitty candle fire that sparks inside of your body, and you got the option to either pour gasoline on it or water.
Con, and that's like it says. Is it in Proverbs in Sirach, where it says like the tongue is small, but by a little word, a spark is ignited.
Spark that, baby,
right?
Boy.
And you can either quench it, or you can throw wood upon it, and either one of those comes from the mouth.
Absolutely.
You could throw, if someone says the wrong thing, and then you could just spit on it, not literally, right? But you turn it off,
Yep.
right? It's like I was telling this brother too. There was a dude that I work with who's like a not a supervisor but like a team lead, and I learned that all I got to do is just nod, like okay, yeah. I used to just say yes, or I would say sí because he don't speak Spanish, and now I just nod, and now he's cool. He already knows like I'm not going to give in to. I'm not going to give any wood to his fire,
Yep.
right? I'm gonna put it out every single time.
Yep.
But go ahead.
It's Proverbs chapter 27, verse 17. Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend.
So another thing that it teaches obviously is brotherhood. I think a lot of not. I think I was just telling another brother this earlier. That brother Uriah.
Yeah.
I was telling him earlier that a lot of us, like me and this brother, for example, me and this brother, y'all both raised basically without our real fathers. So a lot of people that are Israelites, whether they know it or not, blacks, primarily so-called blacks, so-called Hispanics, so-called Native Americans, are raised without their father.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have that kind of guidance as far as like them sharpening you, right? And that's like today it was cool because me and Noah were out here for a few hours and he was helping with stuff. He was helping me pick up wood, and then he was raking all the grass I was cutting. And then he's I was gonna tell you too. We gave a bunch to Groovy. So
Okay.
tomorrow
The water.
we have a bunch to his sheep. We have a bunch cut. I'm gonna give him tomorrow. So don't even worry about feeding him.
The water, man, because he be acting like I don't be feeding him. Bro.
Yeah. But anyway, she was helping me with a bunch of stuff. Noah was, and he was like, I want to help, but how come? I was like, yeah, you have to help. And he was like, how come I have to? I know I want to, but how come I have to? And I was like, because hard work is what's gonna turn you into a man.
It's crazy, man. My granddaddy said the same thing to me the other day on the phone. For y'all that don't know, I just had a newborn child. All praise to the Most High. And my granddaddy, when me and him was talking on the phone, I had reminisced with him for a second about how when I used to work with him and do jobs. I told you, he's, how he got his own plumbing business. And my granddaddy, if anybody know anything about plumbing, man, it's one of the most laboring jobs you could ever do. I did 2 jobs with him ever when I was young, and I was reminiscing about this with him because my mom, like my granddaddy, he was real stern with me. You know what I'm saying? He was like, look, if you're gonna come out here, you're gonna have to work. Like, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing free. And I brought that up to him, and he was like, yeah. Your mama kept saying I was being too hard on you and stuff like that, but I had to let her know, man, it ain't the fact that I'm being hard on you. It's the fact that as a man, you got to understand that nothing in this life come free and nothing come easy. So I just said that to bring up, to add on to what the brother was saying about him and his son. Like, you have to do this. It's not a matter of do you want to. Even when you don't want to, you still got to do it.
Even and especially like work. I know we've talked about this a bunch of times. I've talked about this with that brother AZL and other brothers too, that have done actual laborious work.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so many things that our generation will never know because they have never worked hard a day in their life.
Yeah.
Right. And like just having calluses on your hands says a lot about you. I can already tell when I shake people's hands, whether it be a brother in the truth or whether it be somebody else, like, just somebody that I'm meeting. If I touch their hand and I don't feel calluses, I already know, like, okay, some people, they got them soft
baby hands,
and you're just like, all right, I already know more or less what type of man this is physically, at least.
Yeah, I get a general idea.
Physically, because and that's another thing. I'm gonna do a whole lesson on like austerity and of Yahushua and of Christ, of Hamashiach and stuff like that. One thing that I'll just say, and I'll probably start the next lesson with it. Like, people don't understand, and me and my rib were just talking about this. Yahushua, or who the world calls Jesus Christ, right? He went into the synagogue and he saw it. Like, really think about that story, right? For those of y'all who are familiar with it, he went into the synagogue and he saw people gambling and selling. They were buying and selling on the Sabbath, which is a sin, right? And then what did he do? He got mad. He left and he made a scourge or a whip, right? He didn't go and buy one. He made one, because he was a carpenter, right? Yep. So he was working with his hands. He came back to the synagogue and he chased everybody out of there. Like if you really think about it and put it in perspective, like today, imagine me, right? Me, brother Kana, I go into a church and they're over here buying and selling and they're cooking and selling everything on Sabbath, even though they don't observe on the right day, right? And I see this and I get so mad and I go home and I make a weapon.
Mm.
So and think about it like in today's court terms, right? That's premeditated.
Yes, it is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I go back with a weapon and I chase everybody. I threaten physical violence on everybody inside a synagogue, a church, right? And here's another thing to think about. If Christ was how Christians picture him, looking like a feminine or even a homosexual with his long hair, and he looks real soft, dude. Right? He looks real soft. He looks like he might have makeup on. If he looked like that, do you think nobody would have stepped up to him and been like, "Hey, bro, you ain't gonna do nothing here. Like, we're doing what we want." No, it doesn't say anything in the account as like anybody tried to stop him. He chased everybody out of there. He was flipping tables. He was threatening violence.
Flipped it all over.
Like if you think about that and compare it to nowadays, like, bro, you know how hard our Messiah was to be able to do that, and nobody. Because remember, back then, they were stoning people to death.
Yeah, he was different.
They were stoning people to death. So it's not like they weren't used to violence. You know what I mean?
He was different.
He went in there. He was a real man, is what I'm trying to say.
Very much so.
Right? So saying all that to say, brotherhood is something you learn from this. And in that brotherhood, like he just read, iron sharpens iron. Right? A lot of us brothers have it in us to be like iron and be that type of hard person, but it doesn't just pop up out of nowhere.
You know how hard iron is?
Exactly. And it's like that saying goes, like, you can't be sharp as iron if you're around a bunch of butter knife people.
That's very true. You can't even sharpen iron unless you use iron. That's how hard it is. You literally, like how the brother just said, bro, it's either, like, not everybody born with it. You can build it, but you know what I'm saying? A lot of people in today's time, bro, we live in a very, very feminine society, dude. Like, it's almost as if men don't even have a spine no more. None of them have testicular fortitude. They all got vaginitis.
And the thing is, like the brother said, not everybody has it, but I think everybody has some level of potential to try to build it. But if you look at everything that is pushed on us, whether it be like, taking certain, even supplements, but like medicine, so quote unquote medicine, right? Which is pharmakia, pharmaceuticals, which is witchcraft according to the Bible, right? Because that word pharmakia in Greek translates in English to witchcraft or to sorcery, right? So when you take certain medications, that throws off your whole, we were just talking about that too, how it throws off your testosterone. It throws off all the chemicals and stuff and levels that the Most High put in us. It throws it off. So whether it be drinking water, right, has atrazine in it, which makes you more feminine.
Yep, like estrogen.
Well, the weed that a lot of people, a lot of men are smoking,
GMO.
It's genetically modified, and a lot of it also has atrazine in it, which boosts estrogen levels and suppresses testosterone, so that makes you more feminine, right? And that's why you have a lot of people, even what's his name, Israel Adesanya, the fighter.
Yeah.
If you see, he's got that, I forgot what it's called, but where you're around your nipples starts gaining fat right around it.
Growing titties.
You could get that from steroid use, or you could get that from smoking a lot of genetically modified weed. And he came out and said it's because I smoke a lot of weed. I don't do steroids.
Growing titties, bro.
There's a couple other athletes that have said the same thing. Like, I don't do steroids. I'm getting this because I smoke a lot of weed. So, but that just goes to show it boosts estrogen. You know what I mean? Then other things as well, whether it be colognes, whether it be
stuff you
shampoo,
put in your hair.
Yeah, everything. Any way or any means that they can get to feminize men,
they're gonna do it.
They're doing it. And you just turn on TV, and me and my rib were talking about that too. Like, I'm 32. When I was young, I don't remember one homosexual on TV.
I remember this thing. I'm not even that old, but I just know I grew up with some old heads, and they said They used to call them punks where I'm from, but they used to like beat them up and make fun of them and stuff back then. If you was gay, back then it was a shame to be gay, and people wasn't proud about it like how they got now.
Con.
They got a whole month just to say, "Oh, come out and wear it proudly" and stuff.
Con. I
Like,
don't know what month it is, but it's funny that so-called Black History Month, is the shortest month, but they're gonna give a longer month to the LGBT.
the alphabet soup.
Right? That's crazy. But the point is, if you don't have some type of brotherhood or some type of father figure, right? Obviously, we could turn to the scriptures and we could read all these accounts and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's my uncle, for example, was the only person that I had to really look up to, like on a day-to-day basis. He wasn't in the truth or nothing like that. He was a Catholic, but he was always there for his family.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only uncle that an aunt or anybody in my family that like they were together and they had a good relationship, respectful, and he was always there for his children and for his wife. So me seeing that,
Mm-hmm.
and then me not having my father growing up, I always knew like, okay, I'm not gonna be like this. I'm gonna be like this.
Yep.
Then when I came into the faith, I was like, okay, now it all makes sense, and I started putting the puzzle pieces together, so to speak.
Fine.
And even though I didn't have so many brothers, I only had a couple brothers I could like actually trust and counsel with and stuff like that. As far as me getting counsel, martial arts really did it for me, because even if people aren't in the faith, so to speak, it creates
A bond.
yeah, a bond. And not only that, but like a mutual respect of, if I can, it's like me and this brother have said it before in other lives. If me and him, if I couldn't, let's say I came and corrected him on something and he, man, you ain't nobody to tell me nothing, I'm a man, blah blah, all this stuff. If you can't even correct each other on something,
Mm-hmm.
how close are you really?
You ain't close it up. I bet I'd even go as far as to say you ain't even got no genuine relationship at all if you can't get corrected, bro.
And it's the same thing kind of with like say martial arts, as far as building that brotherhood, because even even if it's, let's say, five of us training together, if we're every day training and tapping each other out, or even learning together, let's say like this brother's a lot newer than me, but just the fact that he's able, I see him do something, I'll show him something, and then he's trying it on me, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. It's cool because I see what I'm giving him, he's actually applying. And I've said this many times before. There's a lot of people that have come to me for counsel over and over and over and over, right? Over the years. And it gets to the point where it's like, bro, I've given you the same counsel this many times and you've never applied it.
Yeah.
So at this point, you're literally wasting my time.
That's one of the most valuable things too.
Right? And you can't get time back. You can get money back, you can't get time back.
Yeah.
So when in martial arts, being able to build that mutual respect and even trust too, because if I show him something, like I know I've showed you an escape, and then I'm trying to get you in something and you use it, I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah.
like it works. He's trusting in what I gave him, and it's not really me, it's the technique that someone else has given me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing in the faith. When somebody, if you go to somebody for counsel and they're like, well, the Bible says this,
I trust that what you're saying is valid.
exactly. Yeah, you're kind of putting trust in me a little bit in the advice I'm giving you, but in the end, it's like it's coming straight from the Bible, so it's coming from the Most High. And if you trust in Him, then you are going to respect that, and you're gonna follow it and you're gonna apply it, right? So iron sharpens iron, like a brother sharpens another brother. And I think the biggest problem, or I know the biggest problem with a lot of brothers, is they just don't have any form of sincere brotherhood. Because that's happened to me as well, where someone, yeah, brother, this, that, and the other, and then they go and say something else, or they spread your business, or they say something false, or someone else will come to you and, oh man, this brother was saying this about you, whatever the case may be.
It's almost like high school, man.
Con.
Like I've noticed, man, I say this all the time, but I understand that brotherhood is something to be desired, because it even says it in Psalm chapter 133, the first verse. It says how beautiful it is for brethren to dwell together in unity as one mind, like Philippians 2:2, right? It's a very beautiful thing to have, but it's not that many sincere brothers, so it ain't gonna happen as often. You know what I mean? You see a lot of people, you know, and this ain't me saying shade or nothing like that, because I support anybody that likes to congregate and stuff like that. But it's just sad to say though that, you know, the sad truth is there's not many congregations and groups out here that, you know, are sincere. A lot of people have secret agendas, secret covetousness, jealousy, pride, and you name it. You know what I'm saying? So
Con.
it's when you do find a sincere brother, the Most High put one on your path. You be fortunate and blessed enough if you even get a chance to, you know, experience it.
Con. And a lot of times, going along with what you're saying, is in certain congregations and stuff like that. And I've said this before, actually. Let me say this first, because I already know some people are gonna say, "Yeah, well, you can't just throw a blanket statement like that at everybody." I've met sincere brothers from House of Israel, at least one, right, from these camps I'm gonna name. From Sakari, I've known sincere brothers and had conversations with them. From House of Israel, from Sons of Thunder, from True Nation, and even from GMS and IUIC.
Yep.
Right? Let's see. Is there any I'm free that I can think of off the top of my head right now over the
WFI?
years? And WFI, Con, the water. That's 7. That's 7 different camps.
I think in the bars I had Judah.
Oh, Con, that brother too. And also, well, there's a few of them, right? That are, I think one of them still with WFI, and then a couple of them have left. But whatever the case is, the point is, oh, and some that follow Pastor Dow.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
What's it called? Straightway Ministry, right?
Absolutely. I mess with all the sincere brothers. If you sincere, I mess with you.
So I'm gonna say that first. I've met sincere brothers from that's 8 different congregations. And a lot of brothers they'll tell me straight up, nah, I'm not with the congregation, because a lot of them have had bad experiences with congregations.
Yeah, it happens.
Right? But what I've seen with a lot of times is that I'll build a sincere, like a relationship or a brotherhood with certain brothers, and then somebody from the camp who normally is higher up will say, oh no, that brother believes this, or that brother this, and so we don't mess with that. I've had the highest members of a certain camp tell other brothers in the camp that I was cool with, hey, now we don't mess with that brother. And a few of them were like, oh no, you know what, this dude said this, and you know what, I respect my elder, blah blah, and they won't even talk to me no more.
Yeah,
I've had that happen. So in the end, like we read earlier, you got to test all things, prove all things. In reality, how feminine is it to give? Because we always talk about this. Think about this. We always say, how many times do brothers quote, oh, give not thy power to a woman, not right? Proverbs 31:3. Okay, Salakia, my phone died. Y'all cut out, con. Okay, so as I was saying, a lot of brothers. How many times have y'all brothers seen on social media, whether it be Facebook? Like I said, I don't have it, but on Instagram all the time, I would see brothers posting Proverbs 31:3.
Mm-hmm.
Give not thy power to a woman, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. And
Mm-hmm.
but then a lot of times brothers will give their power to another man. And the example I was giving was there was one particular camp that, me and a couple other brothers got kind of invited to be an affiliation for, and we didn't want to do it because of whatever reason. We didn't agree on doctrine or whatever. And in the end, the elder, one of the elders of the camp, started telling brothers, "Nah, we don't mess with that brother. Like, don't even talk to him, whatever the case may be." And they just went with it. So they
Mm-hmm.
gave their power to a man, which, like me and the brother were just saying as the phone cut out, that's even worse. In my opinion, I don't know what y'all brothers think, but I think that's worse than giving your power to a woman, because a lot of brothers, let's be honest, they're ran by vagina.
Yeah, we being frank.
Their whole world, their whole life revolves around it, right? And they, whether it be around a woman because they just want to be with her and they want to be sleeping with her, or whether it be around women, they're just chasing booty all the time, or whether it be men are just addicted to porn or to whatever it may be, and that's all they're thinking about all the time, and they ruin their whole lives because that's the most important thing to them. That's bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you give your power to another man and you cut off brothers,
That's different.
right? That's in my opinion, that's even worse.
Yeah, that's different right there.
That's it's like the brother just said, and for those of y'all with sensitive ears, you can cover your ears, but he was like, that's basically like the brothers, like spiritually, he's piping you
He basically piping your ass.
because how and that's why it says the Most High hates people that upbraideth friends.
Mm-hmm.
There's brothers I've had real cool relationships with, counseled with them and everything. And oh, how you doing, brother? Oh, good. My family there. How's your family doing? Oh, that's cool. Oh yeah, can you say a prayer for me for this? Yeah, I got you. Whatever. And then someone comes along. Nah, we don't mess with that brother no more.
Okay, you right. We don't mess with him.
And they don't even got to say why. It's just okay. I'm a part of this camp, whatever, and or congregation, and I'm gonna listen.
That's something I would tell my woman is not don't mess with her. We don't talk to her. And she be like, yes, master.
That's something your head would tell a woman, right? But yeah, the brother Yohanatan, he said, been praying for and seeking real brotherhood for a long time. A lot of folks only have virtual relationships, don't go further than social media. I agree 100%. And I know for some, or for a lot of people, um, it's because of financial reasons and stuff like that. But I do also believe that the Most High is going to give you the opportunity to do certain things when you're able to,
Mm-hmm.
and he's going to push you in certain directions. It's like a brother just hit me up last week and he was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about moving down that area, whether it be like San Antonio area, because I know you live out in that region." I was like, "Man, I actually live this many hours more south. There's land getting cheaper. We're thinking about getting some land, Most High willing, as the market comes down, etc." And he was like, "You know what? I've been thinking more and more about it." I know the brother that was on here earlier, Daniela, was saying the same thing. And when the Most High puts certain things on your spirit, it's for a reason, right? If you know, like, hey, this is the only sincere brother I've ever known for this many years, and you're thinking about buying some land, or you're thinking about, congregating, or even it's just like keeping holy days.
Yep.
That's how me and this brother met. He came he came one year from Houston. How far is Houston? Like 5 6 hours?
About 5 hours.
About 5 hours away.
If you
Came
drive
down
in the
here.
car.
If you're on a bus, it's probably like what, 10,
About
12.
like, about like 8
So
to 10.
he was the I was the brother that was kind of closest to him that he had talked to or whatever, and that was just through social media, right?
Yeah, I had first heard about him on YouTube through his videos, and then I reached out on Instagram. We chopped it up. He invited me for Passover. It's my first time keeping the feast day the proper way. My first time trying to keep a feast day was Purim But my first time actually properly keeping the feast day was actually coming to Passover,
Con.
and then that's how we hit it off.
And 100% correct, because you had just gotten baptized for remission of sins.
Yep.
So it's not like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You were clean. He was clean slate
Fresh
keeping the
everything.
Passover.
Fresh everything.
Right? He was clean slate, just been baptized, keeping the Passover, which is a beautiful thing. And now look, now he's living down here. And there's a couple other brothers that, you know, if it's the Most High's will, they said the same thing. They're looking in this area as well. And
That'd be nice, man.
it's all about, like, with the Most High is gonna allow you to do certain things and be around people of the same spirit. Um, when you're not only sincere, like, towards them, but even more importantly, sincere towards him,
Con,
right?
that's a big one.
Because if you're obedient to him, he's gonna make everything happen for you, right? He'll give you the desires of your heart, like it says in the scriptures.
He truthfully will do it, man. You can't teach nobody how to be sincere, but it's just like your brother said, man. That's all he really can say is the simple fact that if you are sincere, and the Most High know what sincere mean, we know what sincere mean. If you really are sincere, guaranteed, I bet the house on it. The Most High will give you a sincere brother or two, or however many he seems fit, because there ain't that many out here. But he will make y'all cross paths and y'all will hit it off. Whether y'all live in the area or whether y'all got your own areas and y'all come visit each other every now and then or whatever the case may be, he gonna make it happen. And that's a guarantee.
And that's you have to be striving for that as well, because
Yep.
it's like there was a quote I had seen a long time ago, and it was by Malcolm X, and it was something along the lines of, um, I'm all for brotherhood, but I'm not gonna waste my time trying to be brothers with somebody who's not sincere about it.
It's true.
So it's like a lot of brothers, you know, the most or the best you can do for them is hope for the best for them, maybe say a prayer for them, whatever. But the majority of brothers I've come across, or people in the faith I've come across, I mean, they don't really try to make that connection, right? There's a lot of brothers that won't hit you up unless they're trying to correct you.
Yep.
There's a lot of brothers that won't hit you up unless they're trying to disagree with you, right?
Absolutely.
There's never a, hey, how are you and your family doing, or, you know what, they just send a scripture and, hey, you know, I'm just hoping y'all are doing good, whatever. I said
Yeah.
a prayer for you today.
You
You
feel
know,
me? Just trying to make sure you good.
anything like that. The majority of it is like brothers never comment on your stuff, never like your stuff, and then when they disagree with something, they're either
Quick
gonna
to
comment
DM
on
you.
it or they're gonna DM you, or whatever the case may be,
Real
right?
quick.
That's, for the most part, that's the type of thing I've seen personally happen, right? Malak Marcos, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai Brakatham,
Yes, sir, my brother.
Barzia Judah,
My man's.
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai Brakatham. I hope all is well with you, both of y'all, and your households. Hope y'all are enduring through the times we're living in. I know y'all know times are speeding up like crazy right now. I mean, look, bro, what's today? 24th?
Saturnalia tomorrow, y'all.
Right? So look at how fast this year went by. That was crazy.
Nah, for real though.
And that's like me and the brother were talking about it not too long ago, and not just him, but other people. I don't know why so many people ask that question, but like, how many? If you had to guess, how many years you think we got left? And
Shit, I don't know, man.
and what I tell everybody is, like, number one, no one knows the time, right? Not even the angels in heaven. That's what
Yeah.
Hamashiach said.
Mm-hmm.
Only the Most High knows. But what I would say is, because some people are like, I think next year is the year, but I know brothers that have been saying that for years.
Yeah, bro.
And the way I see it is this: who's not to say, because it's prophesied in Matthew 24, Luke 21, that the times are going to speed up. And
Yep.
then in Second Ezra's, it says, pray that the times be sped up.
Speed that shit up.
Right? So who's not to say that how fast this year went by, right? And I just said a couple days ago, and it was like 3 months this whole year.
Bro.
So what if next year is like 2 months, and the next year is like a month and a half, and the next year is like a month? Then we could be here for years. You know what I
It
mean?
ain't go by like that.
But it goes by so quick, because for the
Man.
elect's sake, the times will be shortened.
Cause you know time don't even exist in the Most High realm. He can make it
Con.
seem like it's fast, like it's gone. It don't matter.
It says with him, 1,000 years could be like a day, or a day could be like 1,000 years.
Whichever one he want.
Right? So you never know. Barzayah Judah, all is well. Akim still enduring, most high willing till the end. Pray all is well with the fams. Akim, much love. Khan.
Yes, sir.
Same
All
same to
praises.
you, Ak. Same to you. I'm glad to hear everything's going good with you.
All praises.
I'm asking for the time to be sped up daily. Khan.
I
Khan.
just I just hope I'm ready, and I hope that I'm found worthy to escape the evils and make it into the kingdom.
Khan. Same here. And that actually is gonna bring us to our last point. If you want to get Matthew, it's either 633 or 634.
Probably 34.
Right? So what we have to do, like this brother says, he says, I'm asking for time to be sped up daily. That we're actually supposed to be pray for that, right?
Yeah, 34.
But you don't want to be like, what's his name?
Bring them nukes on.
No, the Jewish dude, Adam Sandler.
Oh
You
yeah.
seen the movie Click?
Yeah, I seen
Click.
Click.
Okay, I watched it. I watched it
It's been a minute since I seen
with all
that.
my children not too long ago, and he wanted time to speed up so he could just get to his next promotion or to get to his next, like milestone in life, right? What we need to do as we're praying for time to be sped up, we need to be taking it one day at a time, and even more than one day at a time, like one moment at a time.
True.
And the last point that I have written here for the number 7 when it comes to martial arts or jiu-jitsu specifically, okay? You have to focus in jiu-jitsu, especially. You have to focus on the one problem in front of you, which is the other person that you're sparring or rolling with, trying to choke you or trying to armbar you or trying to leg lock you, whatever the case may be. If you're over here thinking about, well, my wife was mad, she said she ain't gonna cook me, then guess what, you're gonna get tapped out like that.
Yep.
Right? Or if you're sparring, MMA sparring, even worse. You're over here thinking, well, she called me, or man, I saw she was looking at some dude's profile. Boom, head kick. Now you're out.
Sleep.
Right? So one of the most, and we were talking about this the other day, it goes perfectly along with it. Focusing on a problem, right? But this problem is evolving all the time.
Yeah.
Because if I tell you, hey, what's 240 times 61? That is a set problem. You have a formula. You're going to figure it out. And as soon as you're doing it, it's not going to change, right? But in jujitsu, and as this brother is getting better and better, I know he sees it more and more. It's like I'll show him a move, and then he's doing it to me, and then I'm already doing the counter to that move. So then he's like, okay, so that's how he counters it. So then he knows, and he's like, I'm gonna counter it with what he showed me to counter, and then I'm already doing the counter to the counter to the counter, right? So in jujitsu, it teaches you how to focus on one problem, but the problem's evolving to where you're like, okay, I'm focusing on this, but look, now it's changing this way, so now I got to do this, and now look, it's going this direction, so now I got to, and you're always focusing on that one thing,
One thing at a time.
one thing at a time. And like I said earlier, when I mentioned Ecclesiastes 9 and 10, it says, whatever you find your hand to do, do it with all your might. When you're focusing on this one problem, that everything's got to go into it. You're wholeheartedly in that moment trying to solve that one problem.
Yep.
Right? Because we've talked about this multiple times. When you got a whole list of things to do and you start doing one, and then you're like, you know what, I'm gonna do a little bit of this, and then, oh, you know what, this is right here, I'm gonna start doing,
don't shit get done,
and nothing gets done. Right? And you're just like, damn, I got a bunch of projects that are like 1/3 of the way done.
Not a single one of them complete.
Right? So you got to learn to focus on one thing at a time, and you complete that, then on to the next one wholeheartedly, all your mind on the next thing, and then you cross that off the list, and then the next thing, right?
I had to learn that recently too, man. Like, to slow down. I posted this a little while ago, but it's very true. I think it went over a lot of people's heads, but to go along exactly what he said, slow is the fastest way to get to where you're trying to go. And what I mean by that is the slower you take things, like let's say if I make a list of like 50 things to do, if I take my day slow and let's say, I get maybe 3 of them done out of the whole 50, that's better. That's better than doing a piece of all 50 and not getting shit done. You know what I mean? Like the more slow you take things and the more effort you put into getting something complete, the more efficient you can do it. Like how you said, right? Do everything to the best of your ability. The more efficient you are, the more quality it's gonna be, right? Like, it's so many things that go through my head though, bro, when you had said that. Like, just in my own personal life and what I'm working towards right now, leading for the times that's coming up. Like, there's so many things that I have a list that I know I gotta do that the most I put on my heart, but I can only take it one step at a time and move as fast as time will allow me to, without being hasty. You know what I mean?
And that's like the same thing if you look at like jiu-jitsu, or not even jiu-jitsu, let's say, because most people don't even know what jiu-jitsu is, right? But let's say you're fighting a stand-up fight, just kickboxing, you can kick and punch. Can you throw a jab and a head kick at the exact same time?
Shit, no.
No, you're gonna throw two bad strikes and then you're probably gonna get knocked out, or you're gonna get hit at least, right? So you would rather throw as perfect of a jab as you can, reset your feet, then throw a kick as perfect of a kick as you can, right? Not, oh, I'm all over the place, I'm trying to throw two things at one time, and you're off balance, and then they just barely kick your leg, and now you're on the floor.
Yep.
Right? So it's the same thing from martial arts to this walk too. A lot of brothers, like, for example, brothers come in the truth, and two things that they want to do right away that they shouldn't do.
Marriage.
What's one? Okay, they want to get married, and the other one is they want to teach.
I was just gonna say,
right? But you got to understand, you can't learn, get married, and teach all at the same time.
Shit, no, bro.
So what do you got to do first? You got to put all your time and effort wholeheartedly into learning.
Yeah, it's the number one thing.
Then what? I'm gonna get married? No, now you got to show that you could teach this woman.
Yep.
Wholehearted, and in the process, you're still learning on the side, right?
Decently and in order.
But you learn, then you teach, then you show, you prove yourself. Like we said, one of the points was proving yourself, and improving yourself. What's happening to you? You're being tested, and that's the problem with a lot of sisters that end up with dudes. They don't make the dude prove them. They don't test the dude, or vice versa. The dude doesn't test the woman or doesn't prove them. Like, yeah, I'm teaching her this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, is she applying it though?
Right.
Why is she still following all these men though? Why is she still taking pictures of nothing but? So this is one thing I was telling a brother too, not to get off topic. How come there's so many women? How come there's so many women that say their whole life is about the Most High and all this, but then their social media is all about themselves? Like nothing but pictures of themselves. Nothing about them. Maybe they'll throw in a verse here and there, but it's just pictures of themselves.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? That's a test. That's something that you should be looking at as a test.
Hell yeah, that's the first thing I'm looking at. I'm looking at all the pictures you got or don't got. I would prefer to have a woman with an Instagram that got 0 pictures.
Hey, you know what? That's some of the best sisters have no pictures.
Man, I'm trying to tell you, this is one sister I'm talking to right now. Most I wouldn't work out. She ain't got no pictures on her stuff, but she's the most beautiful thing I've seen.
So the brother said, I got to go back from the top. I didn't catch the. It's all good, Og. It's all good. Malak Marcos. I was trying this jiu-jitsu spot, but the coach wasn't ever there. It was one of his students teaching. Is that normal? What so it was jiu-jitsu. What belt is the student? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Barzia Judah takes real discipline to focus like that. It
True
does.
True
it does.
You know what's so crazy before you even read that one? To like literally what he just said about how it takes real discipline to focus like that, and it goes off of what you said also about doing things one at a time, right? Following Yeshua had did a video one time that I had watched, and something he said was a big problem that many people have, and I'm guilty of this too. And that's why I had worked on it for a while, and I still make sure I perfect it. But a big problem most people have is they cannot focus on one thing for an extended period of time.
And you know what causes what I would say the biggest problem that causes that? Social media.
That's true. Being distracted.
Because think about it this way: what is social media set up, or like it breeds you to do? That too. But check it out. I look at one picture, swipe onto the next one.
Yeah.
I'm watching a video. I'm not even gonna finish it. Swipe to the
Yeah.
next. Swipe, 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 swipe. You can't focus on one thing at a time, and that's why with women especially, and men too, right? But I've noticed this a lot with women over the years with social media, and what's the brother's name? That died. The older
Kevin Samuels.
Kevin Samuels. He would say it so many times. He would say, information overload.
True story.
Okay, when you have all this information, you have all these sisters, and I'm gonna say this real quick because someone asked me recently, "Hey, I've seen like you posted for years about polygamy. Do you have more than one wife?" And I was like, "No, I don't." And then someone was kind of saying, they were kind of trying to say, it seemed as though they were trying to say, you shouldn't talk about something if you don't have experience with it, because I don't have another wife. But the thing is, I've talked to and courted multiple women, and they didn't.
Applying for
That's
the spot.
that's the thing. I'm not just gonna. Oh well, I'm talking about polygamy, so I'm just gonna take another wife in, right? And my rib has even, uh, uh, done not interviews, but like testing, proving. You know what I mean?
Interview.
And it didn't work out. It didn't work out, right? So I do have experience, but I'm saying all that to say that when it comes to the topic, like the brother said, actually, a lot of women, when they have this information overload, how many? Okay, let me ask you this: how many women have you seen? Proverbs 31. They say this Proverbs 31 or God first or whatever it may be. Praise the Most High. You've seen a good amount of sisters say this.
I've seen
right?
Modesty,
Femininity and all this stuff, right?
yeah, feminine.
I've never heard that before. For real? I've never heard that one before.
Feminine.
But now, in comparison to all of that you've seen, how many sisters? Like, I don't know how many times I've seen Proverbs 31.
Shit, too many, bro.
When it names a Proverbs 31 woman, okay, this is a woman that can sew. This is a woman that can cook.
She's married.
This is a woman that is married. Right now, how many of these women show these things, even if it's just through social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
Show these actual things, right? Or how many brothers that are teachers or leaders of camps, etc., and they talk about, Yahushua and Hamashiach and all this stuff. How many of them show his characteristics just through the way they teach or through the way they talk to brothers or through the way that they act?
Yeah.
Or show the fruits of the spirit.
Very
right?
few.
So you have to prove all the whether it be in a relationship, like courting, in a marriage, and before you get married, whether it be in brotherhood, right? Whether it be in sisterhood. Brother said feminine is crazy.
Hey man, feminine.
It's crazy.
Feminites, man. They feminine Israelites.
Right? It says entertainment, social media is overkill of entertainment. Breeding ADHD. Exactly.
That's very true.
So going back to the point is information overload. You see these women and men as well, but speaking particularly to women, because it seems like so many women, just like the scriptures say in 1 Timothy 5, it says they are idle and tattlers, saying and doing things they shouldn't be doing. They go house to house, just talking and all this stuff. They see all this stuff on social media, and they throw out stuff like feminine or feminine or modesty or Proverbs 31 and all this stuff that they're seeing and they're hearing, but they don't actually focus on being able to apply it to their life.
They spiritually and applying it. All right.
They're spiritual. One thing, let me tell you this, bro. 2 different females that I considered courting, I heard them hear this, and me and my rib, when someone says this now, me and my rib kind of have inside joke to where we're just like kind of laughing about it, right? When somebody says that they are fixing their inner modesty.
Oh my.
Right? So yes, that's such a thing, right?
Oh my.
There's such a, I'm not saying that's not real, but what I'm saying is if you're dressed,
I know what you meant.
If you're dressed like a whore, right? Don't you think it would be easier to fix your outward modesty and just dress more modest before? Well, right now I'm working on my inner modesty.
You ain't even got outer modesty. How you gonna
That
get
make
in there?
that makes no and you know some one time I heard the sister well said you got to cleanse the inside of the cup first. That's true, but that's talking more about your spirit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's like your spirit, your mentality, everything. When it's something easy, like just don't dress that way anymore. That's simple. Like when my rib learned about pants, she stacked them all up and she got rid of all of them. Right? How easy is that to do?
I mean, it's very simple. If you're gonna work on being modest, you gotta physically dress modest first in order for you to start working on the spirit. The same way you gotta physically apply the physical commandments before you even get to really understand the spiritual side of things.
Because keeping it says a good understanding. It goes to who?
Those who keep the
Keep
commandments.
the commandment.
First that which is natural, then that which is spiritual. But you got people out here, like you said, I'm working on my inner modesty.
And another thing, like when talking about inner modesty, it's like when you say, and man, that's a whole nother lesson that I want to do. And I want to get my rib on there. Maybe we could do one like your rib can get on there as well.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Because I remember a long time ago, before me, I don't know if your rib ever told you this, but years ago, before you even knew her and stuff, some dude, I can't remember his name, he had started some challenge. It was
that natural November shit.
that one. Okay.
Was it that nigga Side of Menace or something like that?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what his name was. It might be him. But and I had reached out to her and a couple other sisters and I was like, "Can I post your picture just as like modest whatever, right?" So I know your rib is very modest as well and mine too, but I want to talk about not just physically how you look, but it's how you speak too.
Yeah.
Cuz a lot of women are women that are Israelites or of the faith, but they talk like if they're in the world. They're loud, obnoxious. You know what I mean?
There was one sister I was thinking about or trying. I was courting her at one point in time, and she did the same thing. It was the way she was talking, and I didn't like it. It rubbed me the wrong way, made me feel some type of way, and I'm just like, yeah, nah, I can't do this because everything about you right now is not screaming modest.
Con. But going back and I'm gonna throw in just to tie this into the lesson, right? We already did the 7 Bible lessons, and I'm gonna add an 8th one right now. But I'm gonna go over not in the same order we did them, but it was brotherhood, right? That's one of the lessons you learn. Iron sharpens iron. We got this Jiu-Jitsu and martial arts teaches that brotherhood or gives you that brotherhood when you have the right type of people around you. It teaches you respect between each other. It creates a type of trust between each other. Because literally, how many times have we been in a position where, man, you could get, like I told you, with the heel hook or something, right?
Yeah.
And that's like at the gym. What happened? We went to another a gym not too long ago together, and we trained there a few times. And there was this one dude who the coach, the owner of the gym, he said basically like no leg locks, right? Yeah. He said that one day.
And somebody did me like it too that same day.
So he said no leg locks because you could get seriously hurt from leg. Like you could tear your knee or ACL, MCL. What's the other one? LCL? MCM. You could. I've seen a chick tear all 3 of them. They called it a triangle tear, where they tear all 3 in the knee.
Tough.
Anyways, long story short, the coach said no leg locks. A couple days later, a belt that's higher than me, he puts me in a position for a heel hook, which is the worst possible submission you can get, right? And he did it. So I was kind of going light with him, right? And were you watching that time, right? Or no?
Yeah, I was watching.
Okay, the brother was watching, right? So I'm not bearing false witness. We got a witness, right? And I was going like light with him. You know, he's an older dude, but he is a higher rank than me. So as soon as he did that, I kind of looked. Oh yeah, I remember. I kind of looked at you, right? I gave you that look. I was like, this mother, like I got pissed off because the owner said like we're not doing this. So when he did that, I choked him out a couple times. Right. And then afterwards, he was trying to say, like, oh, most people, well, what did he say? Like, most people don't do it that fast or something like that.
That hard or something like that.
He was trying to make me feel bad. He was being a hypocrite. He is what he was doing. Right. But the point is to tie this whole lesson in, right? Going along with what we're saying about the sisters, we have to be able to, in the truth, examine ourselves. You want to get that real quick, Ak?
Okay.
We have to be able to examine ourselves. And it says whether you be in the faith. Also, whether you be humble. whether you be moving in a spirit of brotherhood. If I didn't, how many times have I leg locked you since we've trained for the last year? Like actually to the point where you had to tap to it. Ever? No,
Mhm.
right?
And the one time you even showed me something, you showed me how to get out of it right there.
Con. But I've never
We never
once,
did that though.
because guess what? I'm not moving in the spirit of pride where I've seen people tear someone's leg just because they want to be an a-hole. I've seen, and that's also not moving in the spirit of brotherhood. Because guess what? Now I don't have a partner.
Yeah.
Right? How am I gonna get better with no partner?
And if I got to take up my bed, law said you got to compensate.
Hey, hey, that's true. That's true. The law says if he can't work, I gotta compensate him for all the time he can't work. Right? So it teaches you that. It also teaches you how to test yourself and prove yourself. Right? It also teaches you how to be calm and rely on wisdom or technique instead of emotion. It also teaches you how to rule your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
It also teaches you how to deliberately get out of your comfort zone and endure through it. Right? And then the last one we gave was focusing on one problem wholeheartedly at a time and trying to solve that problem. Right? But go ahead, Og.
It's Second Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves how that Hamashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates?
So this is obviously talking spiritually. You have to examine yourself whether you're in the faith, and you have to ask yourself in the faith, is Hamashiach in me? Is Christ in me? What is it?
Work too, man. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Oh, con.
Examining yourself. That's one. I see why many folks don't do it. I'm gonna be honest with you, and this is just me being completely honest because I everything I'm saying right now, what I've been saying tonight, a lot of stuff that I learned is stuff that I've learned from my own actions. You know what I'm saying? This is what I've learned with myself. So y'all know I'm not being a hypocrite when I say these things, and y'all know I'm not just saying stuff to say it. I've actually learned this from myself. Examining, I examine myself so much that it gets weary sometimes in my heart, like in my mind. That's how, like, it's really laborious. You know what I'm saying? It's very necessary because your salvation is on the line if you don't examine yourself and you let yourself stray away, right? But it definitely can be very laborious, though.
Con. And I agree with him. The same thing. Every lesson or live that I've done is something that I myself have had to learn and apply. Like this, for example, this is martial arts. It's because I've been doing it for almost 14 years,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's just talking about jujitsu. When I was younger, I did karate and boxing and stuff like that. But I'm just talking about when I started jujitsu, it was like 13 and a half, going on 14 years ago, right? And I'm barely doing this lesson
Mm-hmm.
because after all this time, I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna do this for the brothers that I know. A few brothers were starting, and I know a few brothers have done it, and they
Mm-hmm.
maybe they don't look at it in the sense of spiritually, right? But it says you're supposed to examine yourself and see if Hamashiach is in you. If Hamashiach was rolling, you think he'd be snapping people's arms for no reason?
Man, he ain't gonna do that at all because it even said, man, he could have called down a legion of angels to come put their work in, and he ain't do that.
Con. He would have, if he was doing jujitsu, and I'm not saying he would or he wouldn't, right? What I'm saying is he would be moving in the spirit of humility. He
Mm-hmm.
would be moving in the spirit of brotherhood, in
Yep.
the spirit of iron sharpens iron, right? And that's what you have to be, surrounded by brothers or men that are in that type of spirit, right? Um, the brother Malak Marcos posted Psalm 139, 23, and 24. Search me, O Yahweh, try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. And what is the way everlasting? It's the word,
Mm-hmm.
right? So everything that we've been saying with these lessons and stuff like that, we have to search ourselves, yeah. And the Most High already knows. He knows all our thoughts. He knows every hair on our head,
Yep.
right? And to be walking in the way of everlasting is, it's simple in concept, way harder obviously in application, but it's to follow the word. And anything in the word can be applied to our life. For all the Christians that don't know that, right? They just think the word is just something to read and you feel good about it.
Kind of like a novel book.
Yeah, you're just gonna read it cover to cover and now you're saved. You actually apply it to your life, and every single situation you go through, there's some type of instruction in the word.
Mm-hmm.
There's some type of instruction, even in martial arts, right? Some of the people, there's some people that may be better than me, uh, that I can still beat in martial arts. You know why? Because I use wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be, okay, I'm not gonna be hasty. Dang, they got me in a bad position right here. But I'm gonna use wisdom, and now I'm out of it, and now I'm putting pressure on them. And guess what? When I'm putting pressure on them, they're being hasty, and now I'm catching. You know what I mean? So all this wisdom can be applied in all areas of life.
Mm-hmm.
Barzia Judah proverb posted Proverbs 3:11. My son, despise not the chastening of Yahweh, neither be weary of his correction. Right? And going along with this, with correction and with examining yourself. When was it? Yesterday that we trained, or on Friday?
Yeah, Friday.
Before Sabbath, we sparred and stuff, and like stand up and then MMA. And afterwards, I told him like, okay, what do you think you did good? And he told me, okay, this and this, and I was like, yeah, you've gotten better at this, that, whatever. And then I was like, okay, what do you think you've done, or that you feel like, or is there something I need to correct, or this is what I'm doing bad? He said whatever, and then I told him one thing, and then he was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna try that next time, right? He wasn't despising or me on correcting him, because in the end, I'm telling him so he can get better. And as he gets better and we're training, it's actually making me better too,
Because now he got to work.
right? Because now I got somebody better to train with, and then that makes me better because now I have to get better. So that's that whole iron sharpens iron thing, right? And that's what the Most High. I know a lot of people. It's like in Lamentations, the third chapter. It
Let us
says,
search our ways.
"Let us search our." So right next to that, it says that there are people that are mad for they're complaining for the punishment of
Of their
their
own sin.
own sins. So in reality, a lot of people, they hate the chastening or despise the chastening of the Most High, but in reality, it's because you went against him.
Yep.
And it's the same thing in jujitsu. That's one lesson I had to learn. Oh man, there was this one blue belt. I know I told you before. When I first started, bro, he was just no brotherhood whatsoever. He was just gonna try to tap me as many times as possible and just hard as he possibly can, right? And in the end, I had to learn, like, instead of being pissed off like I was at first, I was like, okay, why does he keep getting me in an armbar? Because I keep doing this, right? So in the end, it's actually my fault. I keep doing the same mistake over and over and over. I keep putting my hand too high, and he picks up his legs on and grabs my arm and arm bars me. So I'm mad at him, which, yeah, maybe he wasn't showing brotherhood, but in the end, it's my fault.
Yep.
And it's the same thing in life. Like, you can be pissed off about the situation you're in, but eventually you got to be like, you know what? Actually, if I
What happened for me to
examine,
get here?
yeah, exactly. And what happened? What did I do in order to be in this position? Right?
They go back to having that conversation with yourself, being honest with yourself.
Con, con.
I feel like that's a big thing for a man too. As a man, bro, you can't excuse my French, but you can't bullshit yourself, bro. You gotta be honest with yourself and everything, because as a man, it all fall back on you anyway.
Yep. And you can't bullshit yourself in actions, but a lot of people do BS themselves. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
They lie to themselves, and that goes back to what we were saying earlier. Like, it was a quote that said, it was from something I was watching, and it said, you have to be honest and fair with everybody, but you can't be honest and fair with everybody until you're that with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you going to be honest and loving and providing to a woman, for example, if you're not honest and loving and providing to yourself, right? As an example, how can you protect a woman and children if you can't even protect yourself?
Can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. How can you think about this for a second, right? As a woman, how can you be a helpmeet to a man if you can't even help yourself?
It's so true.
As far as, like, you can't even cook for yourself,
Can't even get your hair straight.
you can't even, you can't even clean for yourself, like you're living in a dirty room, right? You can't, you're lazy. You get what I'm saying? The brother Barzia Judah said, posting that to encourage you, Ak. I know it seems grievous, but the end thereof is peaceable fruit. Stay at it. Khan, that was for you.
Khan, man. The water, man. The water.
Khan. Proverbs 3 and 13. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. Khan, I agree 100%. Hebrews 12 and 11. Now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous,
So,
but
man.
grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. I remember in one of the lessons I did, I just went off on this verse for like probably 30 minutes, but applying it to martial arts or jiu-jitsu, right? In the present time, when you first starting and you're getting tapped out over and over and you're getting smashed, where you like, man, this is so much fun. I love getting tapped out
Yeah,
and getting
no.
smashed.
I was getting frustrated.
Were you joyous, Ak?
I was getting frustrated, man.
It was grievous, right? It says it's
Very
grievous.
grievous. I was like, bro, this don't make no sense.
It says, nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit. Now, if I get you in a bad position, you're at least able to, okay, I need a frame. I need to keep my T-Rex arms. I'm keeping my elbows in. I know he can't. I'm comfortable here to where I know he can't tap me in this position. I'm gonna catch my breath. All right, I'm gonna chill for a second. Let me catch my breath. I was kind of going wild there. Okay, I'm good now. Now what's my next step?
Examining yourself the whole time. Let me check my pace real quick. Let me see what I'm doing right now. All right. How we doing? How we doing?
Right? But you're gaining that peace because you've been through that grievous process. And that's how it should be when you get chastened by the Most High. When you know you did something wrong, and then it's like, okay, now you're going through this, and you know, like, damn, it's because I did this. I can't do that no more because that's why this happened. You know what? I'm Salakia Abba. I'm not going to make that same mistake. I know this is because of this.
Yep.
And afterwards, next time the opportunity comes up for you to put yourself in a bad position and get choked out or get punished by the Most High, you'll be like, no, you know what? I can't put my arm in this position no more.
Yep.
He's going to snatch it.
You're going to snatch it off, sever it.
Right?
Ain't going to have nothing.
So, but it says at the end, it brings peaceable fruit, and it's after the grievous process to them which are exercised thereby.
It's gonna work you out.
It's gonna work you. It's gonna be tough when you work out. And me and my rib worked out earlier today. In perfect analogy here, right? We're doing a different type of exercise now. It is a high intensity. I don't know if any of y'all have heard of Mike Menser. He was an old dude. He ended up dying of I can't remember what he died of. Him and his brother were like world champions in bodybuilding. But we're not doing it so much for bodybuilding, but just the principle is high intensity. So most people do, I'm gonna do 3 sets of 10 or 5 sets of 12 or whatever the case may be, right?
Mm-hmm.
This dude he is okay. You do one warm-up round, just to give y'all an example, right? Of say squats, and let's say you do 10 of them, body weight. That's it. Body weight. Get the blood flowing, right? Next, you're going to use as much weight as you can, and you're going to do 10, but you're going to do 10. You go down, you hold it for 3 seconds, come back up. Go down, hold it for 3 seconds. On the last one, you're going to hold it you're going to shoot for 15 seconds, but you're probably not going to be able to do 15 seconds. You literally go till failure, okay? And that's the exercise. It's high intensity. But after that one set, me and my rib, because we're doing legs today, right? After that one set, your legs are shaking.
Yeah.
Right? And that's because you're being exercised thereby. Now, what happens? Well, with I've been doing this for a couple months, and to me, for me at least, and everybody's different, it's a different type of exercise. And maybe because I've been training a different way the majority of my life, I've been getting way better results with this type of exercise, right? But the point is, you have to go through that fire, and you have to push yourself out of your comfort zone. Another thing we're saying, right?
No pain, no gain.
And another thing, it's also humility. This is just exercising, right? For some of y'all who are just trying to exercise, maybe you're like, I know some, at least one person had said, well, I need to get in shape before I start doing like martial arts, because I'm
that's the fastest way to get in shape.
That would be the fastest way. But if you want to get in better health, better shape, whatever, even exercising, you can learn. Because guess what? A lot of people that I know that were fighting, they would get hurt because they would try to, all right, I'm going to try to go for my personal rec PR today. I'm gonna try and squat 400, pop a muscle or pull a muscle,
Train
right?
yourself.
It's way better to do something, exercise yourself in humility.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna do perfect form today, and I'm gonna use half the weight this dude next to me is using. But guess what? I'm gonna have perfect form.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole lot better.
So this technique is where we're gonna really build muscle. That's what matters.
Con.
Do it the perfect way.
And like we said earlier, with martial arts or with exercising, working out, technique is to martial arts what wisdom is to somebody in the truth.
Yep.
It's doing it the correct way, not just doing it how you want to do it. Right? So I like that, which are exercised thereby. A lot of people don't want to be exercised by the scriptures. It's too hard. Malak Marcos, Galatians 6:4. But let every man prove his own work.
Yep.
And then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone and not in another. Hey, Ak, I trained with this dude, man. He's like the best fight. He's in the UFC now, Ak. Like, he's super good. Okay, but what do you know, though?
Exactly.
Right?
What did you learn?
Right. Hey, Ak, yeah, I'm in this one camp, and yeah, this brother, bro, our elder, he's so mighty, Ak. He knows all the scriptures.
But what about you?
Okay, what do you know, though? You know what I'm saying? That's a good verse. Like, I haven't read that verse in a long time, to be honest with you. But let every man prove his own work. That's like a friend or a friend of mine, an old friend from high school. He's like a bodybuilder now, and he came down for Saturnalia, and he's always posting. I'm following him on Instagram, right? He's always posting, yeah, I did this much today, and my new. He's one of those dudes on my new personal record, whatever. I was like, hey, bro, if you want to see how practical those muscles are, like, come down. We'll do like a boxing workout, or we'll do something.
Because he how much you got.
Me and him used to go to the same boxing gym, right? And anyways, I mean, he hasn't responded to that particularly.
Yeah, you don't want no static.
But you want to, and that's not me trying to be prideful. It's just me trying to show that there's certain things like that. For example, is a perfect parallel in the truth, right? There's brothers that look very mighty from an onlooker, right? Yeah. From an outsider, from someone can look at, just like if somebody don't know nothing about fighting and they see this big old dude buff, right? Yep. They're like, oh damn, I would not want to fight him. Mm-hmm. But then you have somebody else who maybe is half their size, mm-hmm, and has been training jiu-jitsu for 30 years, and he will make that dude, I won't even say that. He's going to tap him out or make him his B, for lack of a better term, in a few seconds, because he has what? Technique, or he has, like in the truth, he has wisdom. You could have these men that dress up like, do you know what's his name? Son of Yahushai on Instagram. I think he changed his name recently. There's a brother named Son of Yahushai. Oh, thanks, man. And for the last holy day, I forgot which one it was. He said, "Man, these Israelite holy days are starting to look like Christian Easters." You know what I mean?
Man, he's not lying though. It's not like little fashion shows and stuff.
It's a fashion show, and I was just comparing that to, like, if you look the part, that doesn't mean you can play the part. If you talk the talk, it doesn't mean you can walk the walk.
You know, and that's crazy because I feel like well, I don't want to say I know from what I've seen, a lot of people that are like new to the truth, that's what baits a lot of people in. Is the appearance of things. That's why, Messiah tell us so many times, be not deceived. I'm pretty sure everybody in here, or most people in here, should have heard this quote from a long time ago where they say all the glitters ain't gold and all that shines bright ain't a diamond. Like, just because it look like something don't mean that's really what it is. Sugar look like salt, salt look like sugar. You know what I'm saying? And the point of me bringing that up, though, is just to go along with what he's saying about how, like, when he gave the example of the person with all the muscles and stuff like that. See, me and his sense of humor, he understands when I said what I said. But it's just like that, though. It's like when me and him go do jiu-jitsu on the mats. You can be the strongest person in that building, but somebody that got real technique will come and, like, punish you. You know what I'm saying? And it says it in Proverbs. It says literally, a wise man scaleth the city. and he bringeth down the mighty men. Like a wise man is stronger than a mighty man. One wise person is better than 10 mighty men in one city. Because wisdom is better than weapons of war. These are all scriptures that I'm quoting right now. You know what I'm saying? And that's stuff that has been proven, right? King Solomon has spoke these wise words. He spoke these wise words because he has applied these in his life. He has seen these things applied in reality. They have been exercised.
Calm. And that's like in the Apocrypha too, where they said, what's the strongest thing? And right, one dude's like, oh, it's wine.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, because wine will make a king fall.
No, it's women.
Right?
It's women.
It's women. But in the end, what was it?
It was truth, wisdom.
It was truth and wisdom. So wisdom is what is really gonna guide you in life, right? Some people think it's money. Guess what? Money is not bad in itself. Some people say money's the root of all evil. No, the love of money is the root of all evil. Money, if it's used as a tool, can be very good, but the love of money or the idol worship of money is bad, right? Muscles can be used as a tool
if you know how to use.
If you know how to use, but you got to have some wisdom and some technique behind it. If not, like the brother said, I've seen it so many times over the years, and I've seen it firsthand. Right, people twice as big as me, and maybe the first 30 seconds I can't really. I'm not even gonna get close to tapping them. But as soon as they blow their muscles out, guess what? For the rest of the round, if we're doing a 5-minute or a 10-minute round,
you're going for the kill.
Hey man, over and over and over, you're gonna be tapping. And that's just the same thing with when it comes to these scriptures. And you can compare that to like Christians that don't read their Bible.
Yep.
Compared to somebody, to an Israelite, or not even, let's say they don't even know, or they don't even talk about the fact that they're an Israelite, right? Just somebody who studied in the Bible compared to a regular Christian who doesn't read their Bible. Oh man, that's gonna be a tough day if they're trying to debate their cause with their neighbor, or they're trying to prove what they believe. You know what I mean?
It's like it says in Proverbs. It says something about not going forth hastily to strive. So don't go don't be hasty to contend. It says lest the person that comes put you to shame.
And that's what happens a lot of time, whether it be in MMA, if you're prideful or in jiu-jitsu, and you just come in there like the story I told at the gym I used to be one of the coaches at, and the dude came in there, I'm 50-0 in the street and blah, blah, blah. And everybody's just like, come on, bro. Like, you already know that people like that. Now, I've never trained jiu-jitsu. I've never trained like real MMA gym, whatever. Right. So our coach, I mean, he put it to him because he was being prideful. Yeah. Right. And that's what happens with some brothers too. They come, especially newer brothers in the truth. Yeah. Right. And I know that there was a brother that I used to learn from I won't even say the name of the camp, but from one of the biggest camps that's out of Atlanta. And he even said one time, I remember he was teaching a lesson that I was on, like they had like a little phone call thing. And he even said, he was like, man, I remember, bro, when I was trying to teach about, the Gentiles and that sort of thing in Galatians. And I brought out this one scripture, and my auntie, she was like, well, what about this scripture? See, it says this. Ooh. And he didn't know he wasn't studied enough to rebuttal it, right? Learned. And she kind of shut him up because he didn't know what to say. And later on, he asked someone else, like he asked an elder, hey, she said this and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, hey, if you would have just read the next verse, it cuts her point of what she was trying to make. And he said he felt so stupid, but he needed that humbling experience of, you know what, you need to take it, you need to take it easy, and you can't teach before you learn.
Very right? True. Google before you tweet, think before you speak.
Con.
I learned that early.
Con. Kingdom minded, lying to yourself, put yourself in a hole spiritually and mentally. Con.
Some people don't never get out that hole either. I know if somebody comes to my mind, I think of that, but that's just
I agree with a few people come to mind, and sadly, right? But let me say this too. I've seen women do this, put themselves in a hole spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, and financially, right? And it's horrible to see, but they do it to themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Blame the world.
And then blame everyone else. But even worse than that, I've seen men do this, and then they drag women or a woman or even children or their whole family into the hole. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like my last post, Was it my last post? Yeah, it was my last post. Well, I was just basically saying, if you think about it as a man, okay, and this is why I recommend some type of martial art to every man, because you have to these 7 or 8 lessons we just went over, you have to learn in life.
Got to.
And if you can learn them from one discipline like jujitsu, then why not learn? Why not do it? If one thing can teach you all, and this is only, well, I have put 7, right, but we went over 8. There's a whole bunch more I could go over. The brothers got to work tomorrow, though. We're gonna chill, but maybe we'll do a part 2.
And it's funny, but that's I've posted about this before, and me and the brother talked about this before. That is the whole purpose behind applying the scriptures from the concepts that it speaks of. And what I mean when I say that is if you were to put the Bible in a few categories to make it easier to study and understand like what it's talking about, it would be broken down in maybe like 4 categories, right? It'd be broken down into marriage, having kids, agriculture or husbandry, if you want to call it that, and warfare. And the whole point of it being broken down like that is I've said this with the brother many times. I've had this conversation with my rib. Those are like 4 doors, and behind each of those doors, there's like a million other doors with lessons with all of them. And the moment I started walking in agriculture, husbandry, the amount of understanding that I've learned from growing food and raising animals, you'd be surprised. When I finally got married, I learned so much more. When I finally had my first, leading before my son was born, but even when my son was born, so many lessons the Most High started giving me more understanding on. And then most importantly, which is the latest one for me, when I started training martial arts, learning the art of war, actually understanding how it says the Most High is a man of war, right? When you start actually doing these things, applying it to your life, making it a lifestyle, not just saying, oh, I read about it. No, actually making it a lifestyle. I promise you, I will bet the house on it. The amount of understanding that the Most High will give you will be something beyond what you could expect. Your cup is going to run over. That's how much understanding He's going to start giving you on His scriptures. It just brings you closer to Him.
Calm, because it all comes down to actually doing it.
Got to,
right?
man.
And that's like, in again, going back to martial arts, where there would be people, especially when I was teaching, because there would be times when my coach would leave and he'd be gone for a few months training for fights, whatever, for the head coach, right? And then so I'm the head coach and I'm teaching, and you'll have lower belts, right? Say white belts, and they're in here trying to, oh yeah, I learned this, right? I'm gonna do this, whatever. Like, look, you do this and you do that, whatever. Oh yeah, where'd you learn it? On YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And they've never practiced it before.
Yep.
And guess what? They're never gonna get that move.
You just have knowledge, no wisdom.
And if they don't practice, they come in the first day, I guarantee you they're not getting that move. Especially on somebody who knows what they're doing. They're never, why? Because they've never practiced it. Right? And like the brother just said, it's knowledge, it's not wisdom. Something, knowledge is just up here, it's in your head. It becomes wisdom when you actually do it and you apply it, and now you understand how to use it, and then it becomes a wisdom.
Yeah.
And that's like I've said this many times before, and I'll give this one example, and then we'll probably close it out. There was this one kid. He was probably like 9 or 10, well, maybe 10 or 11, right? And his name was Eduardo. And I would teach him. We would teach him. It was when our head coach had left for probably like maybe 4 months. So I was teaching. He was brand new. Like, he came in the day or the week when my coach was gonna leave, and then by the time he came back, our head coach was like, "Man, this kid is so good, whatever." Right? When we were in training, I would show a move, and boom, like, he tried a couple times, and he'd be doing it perfectly, perfectly, and like over and over, just teaching him moves, and he'd be learning and learning and learning and learning. But when he went to a couple tournaments, I think it was like 2 or 3, and man, it was just like, if he didn't know anything, like when he was put under pressure, I know he had the knowledge of the move.
It just left
him. But when he was put under pressure, he didn't have the wisdom to apply it.
Yeah.
Right? So this is what happens when, like, you can learn all these. You'd be surprised that some brothers that I've counseled with over the years and stuff like that, and let's say they're posting, yeah, give not your strength to a woman, and they're harlots, and they're this, and they're that. And then later on, hey brother,
I gave
I
him a
messed
strength though,
up.
man.
I fornicated with this one. I know she's wicked. Or hey brother, I lent her this much money and she ain't paying me. And now I'm out to spirit. And oh hey brother, this, and now I'm addicted to porn, or whatever the case may be, right? You're not gonna know if you have that wisdom until you're actually put under pressure, and until you actually apply the knowledge that you mentally have, right?
Kind man. When I first started following the Bible, I've noticed through the Spirit, and this is before I got baptized. When I started reading my Bible, I would go to work with my Bible so I can stay in the Spirit, at least what I thought was in the Spirit at the time. And when I was reading Proverbs, I'll never forget. I was reading the whole book of Proverbs. Every time I read something, I've noticed that same day the Most High will make what I just read come to reality to see if I'm applied or not.
Con.
You never know until you get put in the situation. Okay, am I gonna do what I just learned? Like when me and you be training and stuff, and you'll show me something, and then we'll roll, and he not finna give me no hints that he finna do what he just showed me, just to see what I'm gonna do.
Con.
Can I focus and remember in the moment? Like, oh, okay, here we are.
Con.
You know what I mean? Like,
And then sometimes I'll let you start getting it, and
yep.
then what? And then I'll just flip it, right?
Flip it
Just
and
do
then
something
see
else.
see if you remember all the other stuff I showed you leading
Yep.
up to this point. Like it's just it's an endless cycle, but
It's an endless test.
absolutely everything is a test. But like the brother said though, as a man, you really don't have a choice but to learn it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can make the conscious choice not to learn it if you want to. That's not gonna make you a real man in the eyes of the Most High. And if you're not a real man, the Most High not gonna deal with you when it all said and done. But to be a man though, I agree with the brother wholeheartedly, 144%. I think you should definitely learn a discipline, and one of the best ones is mixed martial arts or Jiu-Jitsu, whatever you want to call it.
Con. And that was like another post I was gonna make a few weeks ago. Now that I remembered, maybe I'll make it in the next couple of days. Because you just said, you reminded me when you said warfare, right?
Teach you about the art of warfare.
Now, carnal people are gonna be like, yeah, warfare. Well, we don't have to physically fight and blah
Yes, we
blah
do.
like that. But guess what? Even if you never get a fight in your entire life, okay, it's just like how they say. I don't know if you ever heard that saying, but like they would always say, my uncles and other people I've heard say in the army, because I was in the army reserves when I was 17. They would say it's better to have it and not need it
And to
than
need it and not have
than
it.
that one time you need it and you
Uh-huh.
don't have it,
I agree.
right? So whether that be a gun, whether that be wisdom, whether that be the ability to fight, or not even to fight, whether it's just the ability to protect. Say you're a woman, you're walking in the street somewhere and some dude touches her or hits her or something, right? And you got to defend her.
That's gonna be his day.
And that's the one time that you need it,
Then what you gonna do?
right? So that, and like the brother just said right here, look, that's where experience matters. Calms the nerves, knowing you've been through things.
Man, I agree with you, man.
So I
That's so
told this
true.
brother a bunch of times too, right? When we were first starting, I was like, look, we just did. So, we would start maybe like 3 rounds,
About
3,
5 minutes. Oh
like,
no, 3 minute runs was
yeah,
doing at
three
first, right?
threes at first.
Yeah, now
Now,
we had like 10 minutes apiece, ain't it?
now with the last time, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was 3 threes, and then it was like, all right, 3 5s, and now let's do 5 5s. And then after we did, I remember we did 5 5s one time, and I was like, yeah, now that you've done it and you've done it, next time you're gonna be like, I'm gonna tell you, all right, let's do 10, and you're gonna be like, well, I know I've already done 5. I know I've done 5, so I know at least I could do that.
Yeah.
Right? Not you think, because you've done it before, like the brother said. Right? It calms your nerves knowing you've already been through these things.
Yep. So you've seen what happens on the other end, and you know what happens if you endure until the end of that small little period right there. You know what's on the other side of it.
Con. And that's like my very first MMA fight, which like I said, it was in 2012. The first one I had false confidence going in there. I was just like to be honest with you, I wasn't even like how most fighters, they're like really scared and like they're like, shit man, what am I gonna do?
Really?
Like I wasn't like that, but I think it was because I was too cocky, I was too prideful and stuff, right? Then my second fight, I was like confident, but I still had that like, okay, you can be knocked out, so you have to be on point.
Yeah.
You have to be focused. You know what I mean?
You know your shit.
You use that. It wasn't so much fear, but it's that what can happen. right?
You acknowledge the reality.
Exactly.
It's like getting into a gunfight or in a life or death situation. You acknowledge the fact that this could be my end right here, brother. So I better tread the right way.
So you're gonna use that. Some people say fear, but you're gonna use that acknowledgement of reality, like the brother said, to do the best you can,
Yep.
right? And that comes through experience.
Mm-hmm.
The Romans 5:3, and not only so, but we glory in tribulations, also knowing that tribulation worketh
Yes,
patience,
it does.
and patience experience,
Yes, it
and
does.
experience hope. Right. So this, if you look at that
I
spiritually,
love that verse.
if you look at that spiritually, that's easy to break down, right? But for those of you who haven't done martial arts, let me break this down for you in that sense, right? We glory in tribulation. I can tell y'all right now, when I first started jiu-jitsu, I got tapped out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And through those tribulations, I can now glory and look back and be like, man, I most people don't go through that. Right? Like I said, 10% of people, or I posted, 10% of people make it to the first belt, blue belt. That means 9 out of 10 people are not willing to go through those tribulations, right? It says, knowing that tribulation worketh patience. Now that I tapped you out a bunch of times when we first started, over and over and over and over, and now you're more patient, right?
I have more self control.
Way more. And now because he's more patient and self control, I can't tap him out as many times because he's not going to be hasty and just give me submissions, right? And patience, experience. Now he can look back and be like, okay, I experienced what happens when I was hasty.
Yeah.
And when I wasn't patient, and I basically tapped yourself out.
I did.
Right?
I did. I did it to myself.
And that's what we do spiritually. We're like, oh damn, I'm in this situation. I'm gonna do this, but the Bible doesn't say to do that. Now you're in a worse position, right? So then you learn, like, damn, that was stupid. I went off emotions. I was very hasty.
Why did I let myself get to this point?
Exactly. So now I'm gonna have to. Now I don't want to go through that tribulation. So I'm gonna work out my patience, and I'm gonna be more patient. And now I see I'm patient, and I'm experiencing the good things that come out of being patient. So through that patience, I get experience, and through experience, I get hope. So now I'm like, look, I have a very strong sense of faith and hope that as long as I'm being patient, because I've had the experience, I have hope that it's going to go the right way because I'm being patient.
Yep, I've seen this before. I've been here.
Yep, and I'm going to do it the right way this time, patiently. Right? Khan. All praise to the Most High. All praise to the Most High. So, martial arts, again, like I said, and what I was going to say a minute ago is I was going to make a post that said, you're not a man, you're not a real man until you learn how to fight. But guess what?
Very true.
Guess what? I'm not just talking about physically. Because guess what? You have to fight temptation.
Everything.
Right? You have to fight people
Idleness.
getting you out of the spirit. You got to fight idleness, laziness, like the brother said. You got to fight distractions.
Lack of discipline.
You got to fight all these different things. And if you can learn, or if you can get a basic understanding and wisdom from something physical, like physical fighting, it's going to branch out into all these other areas of life, because there's nothing more physically hard than, if you're, again, training with the right people. There's nothing that's going to test you mentally and physically more than another man
applying that pressure.
applying physical pressure to you, especially in jiu-jitsu, like I said, because when you first start, there's no room to breathe.
Man, it's so uncomfortable, dude.
It's the most and like this brother said, you're gonna have these, because I had these thoughts too at the beginning. Like, damn, I just want to quit. I want to tap. He's not even doing a submission, and I want to tap out right now. I'm about to tap so he'll get off of me.
You fatigued, you got no breath, and they put more pressure on top of you when you already can't breathe. So now you got to sit here and you in between, like, do I just roll over and die, or do I keep going until I die? Like, which one you want? Like, how you want to die, fast or slow? Which one you want to do?
So when you go through that and experience it physically, Once it's you beat that mental battle in all other areas of life, you're gonna be able to keep enduring because we all have, like I said earlier, we all the most readily available option is to quit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why 90% of people quit before they get their first belt in jiu-jitsu.
It's too easy.
It's way easier to quit. Like when you think about it, what is a belt? And like I told this brother, like the belts don't mean nothing compared to the skills you obtain on the way to get them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've told him, I've tapped out a black belt before, which is like a black belt is basically the highest rated. You can get a red belt, but that's like it's the rarest. You got to be doing jiu-jitsu for 50 years to get that,
You gotta
right?
be 100 years old.
Right. So what I'm saying is it's very rare to get a black belt. They say 10% of people make it to blue belt, and then 1% of blue belts make it to black belt. So that's not saying one of the 10%. That's one of the 100%. For those of y'all, because most people, when I was trying to explain to my rib, I know she didn't understand. She's bad with numbers. But so if you have 10% that make it to the first belt, that means 90% of people quit, right?
Yep.
So now, out of those 10%, that becomes the 100% blue belts. Now, only 1% make it to blue belt. That means 0.1% of people that do jujitsu make it to black belt. 0.1%. So I'm saying all that to say, in the truth, and I was asking you, remember, how many of you brothers on here have explained the truth to somebody and they were accepting, or they seemed accepting of it? Oh yeah, you know what? That makes sense. The curses, they've been on my family, they've been on me. I
Uh-huh.
can't. You know what? That makes sense. We are God's people, right? They believe it. They know it's true.
But don't want to put the work in.
But instead of putting the work in, instead of enduring, instead of going through the tribulations and build experience and patience and hope, they quit, right? And that's again why I say it's the perfect jujitsu is the perfect parallel to the truth because most people quit. Even if they're like, man, this is legit, bro. I thought I could fight and I can't do anything against this white belt with one stripe. You know what I mean? And they quit.
Oh my goodness, bro. That's why I used to like going to the gym up there, dude. I know I was still learning and shit, but just the fact that it make them work for it.
Con.
But it like how the scriptures say, man, you get experience after getting tested so many times.
Uh-huh. Malak Marcos, Khan, always fighting, dealing with our thoughts and with your neighbor, and that's what jujitsu is.
That's very true.
Because when you're tired, it's like what's that dude's name? David Goggins has
Yep.
said, and there's other people that have said too. When your body tells you to quit, you're only like 40 to 50% done. Your body can literally do around twice as much as you've just done.
It's really mental. What's that little experiment they was doing with them mice in the water? They put them in the water so they was going to stop swimming, and they pulled them out and put them back in, and
Con,
their whole body kept going for like all like 24, 48 hours.
con.
It's just all mental, dude.
It's all mental, and the reason that they were able to last. So the mice, some of them were dying or drowning right after, like, I can't remember how long it was. I think
A
it was like
few minutes, I think,
yeah,
wasn't
it
it?
was. I think it was like less than an hour. But the ones that got pulled out about an hour in, that
Mm-hmm.
made it, the next time they got thrown in, they were making it. They were lasting for like 2 days.
Yep.
Why? Because they experienced and they were like, okay, I went through that. I know I can go through a lot more.
Yep.
Obviously, they're not articulating this in their brain,
Nope.
but that's just how we are as humans, or as vessels, as spirits in vessels. It's all mental. And like we said many times, some people think it's cliche, but we're a spirit and a soul with a body. So if you think about it, all our thoughts and all these things that are happening inside is realer than
The
what's happening
flesh.
outside.
That is so true.
And that's the proof right there, because you could tell yourself, actually, I'm gonna send you something after this. There's a dude named Hickson Gracie. He was the best of the Gracie brothers, right? He's the one that I told you they didn't want to put in the first UFC because
Mm-hmm.
they thought he was too like buff and stuff,
Oh,
and
yeah,
they were
same
just
putting
gonna
the
say,
smaller
nah, he's
brother
too
in.
strong. Yeah. His very first fight, he was 19 years old, and he was only like 175, 170 some, and they put him up there was a his dad was the one who brought jiu-jitsu to the Americas, right? Someone called him a promoter and said, "Hey, there's this dude named something Zulu, and he's a champion. He has over 100 fights, all knockouts, blah blah blah. Do you know anyone who wants to fight him?" And he said, "Nah, we haven't been doing Vale Tudo, which is what they would call MMA. I don't know anybody who's been doing that lately. Just jiu-jitsu. We've been doing tournaments, blah blah blah." His son heard, who was 19 at the time, never fought MMA, and he said, "You know what? I'll fight him." And his dad was kind of like, "Nah, nah, well, he's sure?" And he was like, "Yeah, like I'll fight him. Like I'm down. I want to test myself."
Right.
So he tells the promoter, and the promoter's like, "No, you know what? He's too young. He shouldn't fight him, blah blah blah." And he was like, and as the promoter told his dad he can't do it, he was more adamant about like, "No,
no,
no, my
do it.
son can do it."
Mhm.
Long story short, they put him in. It's 10 3-minute rounds
Oh wow.
of MMA. After the first round, in the first round, he kneed him in the face. He said it was the most perfect. He felt it land on him, and it was the most perfect knee he had ever thrown. He knocked the dude. Got kind of rocked. He looked at him. He spit out a tooth, and he kept going at him.
Tough.
He said after the first round, he went back to the corner and he told his dad, "I'm done. I'm dead. I can't do anything. Like I'm done. I'm literally I can't even move anymore. Like I can't do anything."
Tough.
His other brother, the one that won UFC one, Hoist, he
Mm-hmm.
dumped a bucket of ice water on him. And as he did, you know how someone does, you freak out, right? He said he kind of freaked out.
Body
He didn't know what was going on. Yeah, exactly. His body was just like, "Oh, what happened?" And as that happened, his dad was like, "You're gonna do it. He's gonna get tired. Within 3 minutes, you're gonna win. He's more tired than you." As he was throwing the water on him, as that happened, he was gonna say like, "I can't fight," you know.
Yep.
The bell rings.
Time to go.
So there's no. He said he got in there. Long story short, he tapped him out within 3 minutes.
Tough.
But the point is, he said after that, he learned in whatever's going on in your head, the mental battle is nothing. I mean, the physical battle is nothing compared to the mental battle. His brain was telling him, "You can't even move. You're dead. I'm quit. Quit, quit, quit." He tried to quit. He went in. He won the fight. And that was his first fight ever. And after that, he became. A lot of people think he's the best MMA fighter. He has a record of like 400 something and oh.
He tough.
So the point is, like the brother said, always fighting, dealing with our thoughts and with your neighbor. That's what martial arts is. You learn how to deal with your neighbor, be a brother, not be prideful, move in humility. Iron sharpens iron, right? This is exactly what you learn through martial arts.
Con.
Barzia Judah just happened earlier on the phone with my cousin. Easy to make excuses. Khan. See, people will accept the truth as the truth. Yeah, that is true. And I've had this happen with my family. This happened with my ribs family. This happened with people I've met, acquaintances, old friends, etc. You know what? That makes sense. I believe that. That's true. But then, like this brother said here, you want to read that out?
Cons Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 32:17 says, "A sinful man will not be reproved, but findeth an excuse according to his will." Man, you know how many people, it's so crazy, right? I think of this verse a lot with situations like that because you would be surprised how many people will hear this stuff and then they'll be like, matter of fact, I'm gonna give y'all a live example. I was at work one day and I told this chick that came up to me and she asked me some questions and stuff. Cause people at my job, they'll see me reading my Bible or something like that, or they'll see I don't participate in the things that they participate in. So they'll start asking me questions. So I tell them certain things and I tell her the basic stuff about not eating pork and what it does to your body biologically and all that stuff. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's so true." And then she take a bite of some pork right in front of me. She said, "Oh my goodness, that's so true," and literally bit it right in front of me as if she just didn't even care. And I say that though it was funny to me because there's like in every other situation, there's many people in the world that do this. You know what I'm saying? They do it like it's a habitual thing for them. You know what I'm saying? Like how the verse says they find an excuse according to their will. They will come up with any excuse in their mind aside from reality to justify themselves doing what it is that they want to do. It don't matter what it may be. They will come up with. I'm talking. I done heard all type of stories, man. Like that's your that's your interpretation. That's your understanding. Grace covers all. See, it says right here. Like they'll take scriptures and twist it talking about see, Paul said, everything's supposed to be eaten with Thanksgiving, you know what I'm saying? And oh my gosh, Christmas is for the kids, but oh no, like you name it, man. I done heard so many stories, it don't make no sense.
Any type of excuse they can come up with, right?
Anything, man.
And why? Because they are full of sin. A sinful man will not be reproved. He can't be corrected, right? Because they are full of sin. If you're full of something, can you put anything else in?
Hell no, man. You're gonna throw it up if you do.
You're gonna regurgitate it. That's what people do.
Yeah, we don't chew cud like the animals do. You know what I'm saying? We just gonna regurgitate it and throw it all up.
But yeah, a sinful man will not be reproved. He's gonna find an excuse according to his own will, not to the Most High's will, right? Because that's the biggest problem with, from my experience with organized Christianity, is that their will is going to come before the Most High's will.
Oh, most definitely.
And the Most High's will is in the Word. His Word is His will, right?
It's like it says in Tobit chapter 4. He says, "My son, let not thy will be set to sin."
Khan, let thy will be done.
How you gonna say let his will be done, but you trying to do your own?
Khan. Malak Marcos, he said they swam for 60 hours.
60 straight hours, dude. That's like less than what, 3 days? Like 2.5 days? You see what I'm saying? That's tough. 2.5 days of swimming get you to some land. You gonna make it to a beach or something.
And that's a perfect example of like the dude that I was saying, Hickson Gracie. And you know what? It shows five people on here right now, right? I'm gonna post it up on my story. I'll put the link just so y'all could check out that story. Because when I saw that, and this was a long time ago. I think it was on the Joe Rogan podcast, right? And when he explained that, and he was just like, from that point on, I knew, like, what's going on in your mind. You gotta learn how to get past it.
Man, it's hard too, though, and that's the thing. I understand. Like how you say all the time, it's understandable, but it's not acceptable.
But it's unacceptable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I understand why so many people take the easy route out. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I completely understand why you would choose that. It don't make it acceptable, but I get you. Because yes, it is definitely hard. You know how many times I've found myself in an emotional state of being because of something that somebody might have said or something that might have happened. And I had to pause, sit there, and just meditate on how I'm feeling right there in the moment and let my mind just calm all the way down before I decide to do anything. And it was the hardest thing ever. Like, it's almost like I can't even compare it to nothing, man. Just the fight that you have within your mind once something get in there, it is so much harder than anything you could ever deal with in the physical realm. Like, it's so much harder, dude.
And that's what I think he said something. Joe Rogan has said something along the lines too, pertaining to that. After he told the story, he was like, "Yeah, that's why so many MMA fighters and stuff, they get sports psychologists to help them, work through their mind and get the right mindset and blah blah blah." And he was like, "Yeah, that's good for some people, but I know that everybody has like the potential to do it for themselves, to in the sense of like." It's an internal battle. You can get someone to help you, to guide you and stuff, but you're the one that has to fight the battle.
Can't nobody fight it for you.
And that's why it says, work out your own salvation, right? That's like, if, let's say I'm the best jiu-jitsu teacher in the world and I show him every move he asks and I answer every question, but if he doesn't apply it correctly, that's on him.
Yep.
Right. And it's the same thing with me. It's the same thing with him. It's the same thing with all of you brothers, anybody, right? Whether it be in martial arts, whether it be spiritually applying the scriptures, whether it be providing for your household, whether it be in any type of relationship, if you're dealing with wisdom, whether it be you're at work and you like the brother said, if you lose your shit at work and you say the wrong thing, and now you can't provide for your family, and now your wife's mad and now she wants to leave you.
You can't blame nobody but yourself.
And it all started with yourself, right? And that's why, like I said in that last post, I know a few people didn't like. I'm sure a lot of people didn't like it, but the thing is, we as men especially have to understand that if you are a part of a family or if you're married, it's not just you. Like the selfishness that we had in the world,
Out the window.
as soon as you have a kid or children or you have a wife or wives, like it's gotta go out the window.
Yep.
Because it's not only you, and I'm not saying this only from a physical perspective too, because we as men, if you got a wife or wives or a child or children, you are now responsible, not only physically, but in the Most High's eyes, you're responsible for providing for them. And not just like, okay, they got food. Okay, they got a house. Okay, no, they gotta you gotta provide for them mentally, emotionally, spiritually as well.
Everything,
Everything.
man.
And all of that is gonna fall back on you too because you reap what you sow, right? So if you don't sow nothing good into your children or into your wife, and then you're gonna get bad out of it. Like if you don't sow nothing, you sow shit, you're gonna get shit.
And it's gonna stink too.
And it's gonna I guarantee it's gonna stink. Right.
One thing about sowing seeds is it don't matter if you sow a poison tree or if you sow something that's really, really healthy for your body, you're gonna get way more out of that one seed. You sow one seed, but you're gonna get about 10 to 15 fruits out of it. Tell you that. No matter if it's good or bad.
And guess what? Going along with this as well, right? I'm gonna go ahead and finish with this. Warrior's Dream, shalom,
Shalom, my
shalom.
brother. That's my bro right there.
I haven't heard from you in a while. Like I hope all is well with you and your household. Um, Amana Kadash. That's a brother,
Yes,
you know,
sir.
right?
Shalom, brother Romel.
Khan, shalom. I hope all is well with you as well. Um, going off what this brother just said, right? When you plant seeds, think about it this way: if you don't plant any seeds, can you expect to get anything good? You still might get some weeds.
You're gonna get some weeds, all right, but if you don't plant nothing, you ain't gonna get nothing at all.
You're not gonna get no fruits,
Nothing,
right?
good or bad.
So it's the same thing with our households, with our family. Again, me being a family man, right? Going back to like what I was saying earlier about polygamy, and then someone questioning, oh well, how could you talk about polygamy if you don't have more than one wife? It's because I've been in that situation where I've courted multiple sisters, where I've talked to multiple sisters, and guess what? It didn't work out. I'm not gonna just take one in for no reason,
just so I can say,
right?
oh, I got one, so I can teach now. Like,
oh, con. The point that I'm saying is that's why I always bring stuff back to martial arts, to family, to children, to marriage, because I have a lot of experience in this area. I've made mistakes in the past, just like everybody else. But I would say this, as humbly as possible. I have more experience in martial arts and in being a husband, being married more than 10 years, and I got 5 children. That's more than most brothers or sisters I know, right? So, saying all that to say, that's why I bring everything back to these points and use examples from these types of things, right? And most high willing, it can be an example and it can be something that other brothers can learn from and not make the same mistakes. Because I've learned in the past, like we all want to do things on our own sometimes, right?
yeah.
I think it's our natural, well, as a man, right? Mostly, we want to be able to do things on our own, and I've had this type of mindset from even before the truth. But what I've learned is sometimes, a lot of times, if you know somebody or you have the opportunity to learn from somebody that has more experience than you,
take it.
You should take it. And a lot of times I haven't taken it in the past, like before the truth, especially like when I had my own business and stuff, was because I didn't want to spend money. Right? It's like, damn, well, I'm gonna have to pay this person this much to this and that. But in the end, it's gonna take you all this time to learn the lesson. And you're gonna make all the same mistakes that they already made, and they could tell you, oh yeah, don't do this because this is gonna happen, right? So in the end, yeah, you're paying more money. Just as an example, right? I could have paid money to somebody, but it would have saved me all the time in order to go through, learn those lessons and all those tribulations and all that stuff. When I could have just been like, oh, okay, here you go. Maybe I'll pay you this much, and you teach me. And guess what? That comes back again to humility.
Yeah.
And that can go to with fighting as well. Some people can't learn. You can't teach them anything. They know everything. That goes with the scriptures too. I've had so-called pastors like that. You can't question them at all. Well, I've been a pastor for 20, 30 years.
So
You're only 20 whatever years old. How can you question me? Right? And there's a lot of brothers or people like that in the faith as well. Right? Just because they call themselves Israel or just because they have a big camp and a big following, it doesn't mean that they cannot be wrong about anything. Right? And same thing with me and this brother here before. I know in the past we've talked about it as well. He's told me, and I'm sure maybe I've told him, or maybe I haven't even told him. There's been times where, respectfully, his rib or my rib will say, "Hey, well, you know what? Maybe you did this or you said this, and you were wrong, or maybe you weren't even wrong. It's just you did it in the wrong way.
came off in the wrong spirit.
It came off as prideful, or it came off as this, right?
I've been told.
And then you look back at it, and you got to be humble enough to be like, oh, you know what?
Are you right?
You're right, Doc. I kept dropping my left hand, and that's why you hit me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna correct it, right? So that's another thing that just goes back with life in general and with MMA. But yeah, just to close it out, you have anything you want to say, Doc?
Man, I think pretty much for the most part he done hit it all. I mean, the biggest thing I'll just say, man, is, and it's just me, being authentic with y'all. I ain't gonna come to y'all any other type of way, but authentic. But my own experience with becoming a man, because I wasn't always who I am today. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody, is who they are today. I remember just almost 2 years ago when I was the complete opposite of what I should have been. And to see how much growth the Most High has given me, like it's saying Sirach, I was the last that woke up out of all the grape gatherers, but I gathered just like everybody else, right? Being a man is hard, man. I mean, I'm just keeping real with you. It's hard to be a man, but guess what? You got to do it. You feel what I'm saying? It don't matter how hard it is. What the 90% battle, I say 95 to 98%. 95 to 98% of being a man and going through life and the trials and tribulations that come along with it and walking this walk of faith, trying to or striving to get into the kingdom is your mental. It literally starts with your mental. It's all about your attitude that you have about everything. You know what I'm saying? Like everything starts with your mental, because if the head fall, the body fall. And your mental is in your head, obviously. But your attitude determines so many different things. Like if I had to put everything in one word, I had this conversation with my rib literally like I think either yesterday or the day before yesterday. I said life is literally all about perspective. It don't matter what happens in your life, no matter what happens in jiu-jitsu, whatever comparison you want to use. Life is literally about perspective. I even had this conversation with you. I told you I'm a new father, right? But I asked him a question about fatherhood, and he even told me, he said, "Really, bro, parenting is all about perspective. It's all about how you look at it. You know what I'm saying? It's all about your mentality towards everything." So everything he said, I agree with wholeheartedly. You know what I'm saying? I would implore you all to go back and rewatch the whole thing. Probably even take some notes on it. But just understand the biggest key to everything that he said is your mentality. Because based on your mentality is going to determine whether or not you apply it, how you feel, how if you're going to examine yourself and be honest with yourself. Like it all comes down to your perspective on everything. You know what I'm saying? Do you look at yourself as perfect? Do you look at yourself as somebody that needs to be worked on? Things like that. But that's all I got to say.
Con, con. And just to kind of piggyback off of that, it all comes back to your mental, because whether it be like the two examples that we've been giving and he just gave right now, if it's fatherhood, right? Or me and my rib were talking about this the other day too. You have some women that, and I've heard this said many times, like, man, it's just so hard to keep up with a child. And it's just, I need time for myself. And man, I'm always just, and this is people with one child or two children, and my rib, as some of y'all know, we have 5 children. I have 3 with her, 2 from high school. And she never has, I've never heard her come to me and like complain about you. And it's crazy because most women have that mentality of like, it's so hard to do this, which I'm not saying being a mother is easy. That's not what I'm saying, right? But it all comes down to mentality, because you have women that are like, man, well, it's always messy and I have to clean up and I have to cook for all the and blah blah blah. And then me and my rib has talked about said this many times over the past few years, is like you have to, as a woman, learn to be like, man, what a blessing it is for her, right? What a blessing it is that I get to teach them, yeah, how to clean up their mess, but sometimes she's got to clean up the mess of, guess what, three little small healthy children.
Yep.
Right? She gets to cook regular meals and they get to eat with their hands because they're healthy and they have the mind, the healthy mind, and they have 10 fingers and they got the motor skills to be able to, because man, bro, I've been seeing so much. Y'all know how many kids or children are born with like defects and stuff now. I think it's like 1 out of 10 kids have Alzheimer's now.
Man, I'm so
I mean,
happy.
not Alzheimer's. What is it called? On the spectrum of autism.
Yeah,
Right?
autism.
I think it's 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 9, something like that. So for us to have 5 children that are healthy, right? You should be looking at it. That's all about perspective.
I think
right?
that's the most beautiful part, is having healthy kids.
And another thing, you have some women, well, I have to, I have to cook for my husband, or I have to this or that. Guess what? What? Think about this for a second. What is the other option? Like, you're just gonna be not have a husband. You're gonna be out there on your own. You're gonna be
doing the same thing anyway.
Most likely being a whore, because we know that's what most women do nowadays. They're out there just sleeping around, partying, drinking, doing drugs, whatever they want to do, right? Disrespecting themselves and the Most High, using or allowing men to use their body like it's a theme park,
toilet paper,
right? So it's all about perspective. And the same thing with MMA. Like, you could be getting beat up, but guess what? You either that same dude Hickson Gracie, he would always say, you either win or you learn.
Yeah.
Right? And when you win, you should be learning too. But you get the sentiment. Like, you lose, you're gonna learn, okay, why did I lose then? I did this or I did that.
Yeah, based on your perspective.
Me and my younger cousin talk about this often. Being the at trailblazer and putting this foot forward to establish the Most High's righteousness here on earth is definitely a daunting task. But we see the value in it, and all praises to the Most High left us the blueprint and gave us grace to be able to go back and strengthen our paths. Man. Strengthen out our paths, Khan.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I just realized yesterday the word grace just means favor. So he gave us enough favor to be able to spare us and allow us to learn these things and to even know what pleases him, like it says in Baruch. The things that please him is made known to us.
Because what if we didn't know what was pleasing to him? What if we were lost, like the majority of Christianity, where they think they're doing the right thing, but they're living contrary, the opposite of what his word says to say?
That'd be tragic.
Says to do, right? Because we've all done that at one point, or our parents or somebody has done that, where you're sincere. It's like it says in Romans, they have a zeal for the Most High, but not according to knowledge. Like, you're sincere, because there was a point in time where me and my rib, blind sincerity, like we talked about. Me and my rib were sincere one time in the apostolic church. We were sincerely striving to like have a relationship with the Most High, please him and stuff. But we weren't even reading our Bibles. It was whatever they say. And oh yeah, that's the way to do it. That's how we're going to do it. Right? So having that blueprint, like you said, and then grace to look back and strengthen out our path. And like you said, grace means favor. If you can't pay your light bill, you call and get a grace period. They're showing you a little bit of favor, but you still got to get your stuff together and pay the bill.
Got to do it.
It says we all have flaws. Us men in this truth stick together and continue to motivate each other. We got this shit, man. No other way. Stay down for your crown. We almost out this. Yeah, Khan. Most I willing. I mean, I guarantee you this, right? Like I said earlier, we don't know the day or the hour, but I guarantee you right now we're closer than we've ever been.
Oh, man. I can feel it in my spirit.
Unfortunately, Warrior's Dream said, unfortunately, many women today have a lazy mindset. Men too. But man, I'll give it to you. I was what we were just talking about earlier. I was talking to another brother, and I mentioned it to this brother about how it's crazy that certain women want a husband, certain men want a husband. Majority of them, right? And they don't have children. They don't really have nothing to worry about. But then they're completely out of shape. So you would think
I'm not even laughing
I'm
because
not,
it's funny, but it's just so true.
because if you think about it, I'm not trying to be carnal, right? But if you have a woman or a man that's in shape and they have the exact, let's say they have the exact same characteristics and qualities. You have two men, exactly the same qualities. They make exactly the same money. They have exactly the same knowledge.
Same everything.
Everything's the same, but you have one that's in shape and you have one that's completely out of shape. Which one is the woman going to take? And vice versa. You have the same women. They both cook the same thing. They cook well. They clean well. They're respectful. You have one in shape and you have one out of shape. Which one is the man going to pick? 100% of the time, you know what the answer is going to be.
And I mean, if you even want to go a step further, to be honest with you, you know what I'm saying? How you take care of your temple is it says a lot about you as a person too. A lot of people overlook that small aspect because it's really not even small. It's actually very, very important
Con.
because if if you actually read in the Torah, right? Like if you read in Exodus, how when they started to put together everything, right? When they first started putting everything together, how intricately put together it was, how detailed and how much care had to go into it, how much the how strict the Most High was about what you can and can't wear, what you can and can't do. You know what I'm saying? What the requirements was. If he put that much work into that temple right there, and then now we're the temple, our body is the temple, and like you feel me? If you make the comparison,
Mm-hmm.
right, you see the importance behind taking care of the temple. We were made in his image, so if we were made in his image, then what do we look like letting his image just become, sloppy, if that makes sense.
Con. And if you look at the temple Solomon built, it was actually built in the shape of a person,
Interesting.
right? And
Is
your
that
body is your
coincident?
temple.
Is that a coincidence, Art?
And he also said in Ecclesiastes 10, by slothfulness, the building decays, right?
Mm-hmm.
The building decays, and we are the temple of the Most High, right? Slothfulness, that building is going to decay and become out of shape. So, like the brother said, unfortunately, many women have a lazy mindset. It's all about the mindset, and your mindset is going to be shown through how you look as well, right? And I'm not speaking to people that got like health issues and stuff like that, but
You can still be healthy with that too.
for the most part, getting in shape is going to improve your health,
Yeah.
right?
Who's to say the Most High? Like, if we being real, you feel me? I'm just because I've been focusing a lot with talking with my rib about the physical aspect of doing things in the Bible because a lot of people over spiritualize it. You know what I mean? But for example, I was studying about the gifts of the Spirit with her the other day, and one of the gifts of the Spirit is healing. Right? We still have the ability to heal in today's time, whether it be if I physically come and give you a hug, or if I physically have a conversation with you, or if I physically make you some herbal tea or something and you physically drink the tea, right? Something physical has to be done, right? You might have these problems and stuff like that, but if you physically take care of yourself to the best of your ability, who's to say the Most High don't heal you through that?
Con.
You know what I mean? So I agree. I ain't talking down nobody that got health issues because I know that's a serious thing, but simply taking care of yourself, though, is a big remedy to a lot of it.
Con. And to go along with that too, I know my oldest daughter told me that too. Like sometimes she'll feel bad, and then like I'll give her a hug, and she like for some reason she just feels better.
It's the energy that come off, man. It's energy. It's like that movie Fallen where they touch each other and the
Mm-hmm.
spirit hops on you and stuff like that. Me and Jasper was talking about it the other day. I was like, if you really think about it, the world we live in, it makes sense why the Most High made these laws like that. Because if you look at the reality of what it does, like witchcraft, how that's a real thing when they really do all this stuff, how you play music and it does something to your body. David was able to
To
play a
your
harp.
mind, yep.
You feel what I'm saying? David played a specific chord on the harp and it got rid of the evil spirits. You see what I'm saying? So if the gifts of the spirit, if one of the gifts is to heal, you see what I'm saying? Like we can still do that in today's time, and that's one of the easiest ways is whether it be we have an intimate conversation, or I physically give you a high five or a hug or something, and all of a sudden my energy transfers to you. I used to give my mama a hug when she was going through stuff, and I can feel my virtue coming out and going into her. You know what I mean? I saw this little movie called Paul. I don't know if you've seen this little alien dude on there.
I know of it, but
Oh,
I haven't
it's
seen it.
pretty funny. I ain't gonna lie, but on Paul, he had healing powers. You know what I'm saying? And this is all on topic of what we're saying. But in the movie Paul, he had healing powers. But the thing about the healing power is that when he would heal, whatever was wrong with you,
Goes in.
exactly, it goes to him. But it'll go away after a while. He get his, once he gained his virtue back, but it goes to the other person. So like the example, I give my mama a hug, my virtue go, but I take on what she took.
Yeah, I
Like
get you.
that. So just I only brought it up to say though that when it comes to like taking care of your temple and stuff like that, it's actually more important than what people really think it is.
Calm. And that goes back to over spiritualizing, like you said. And I've done I believe it was like last year maybe, or maybe at the beginning of this year, that did a whole lesson on that about over spiritualizing, because that is a huge problem. And I think that's a thing that people bring with them from Christianity for the most part, and it just kind of spills over into the faith, or into the truth, or into being an Israelite, whatever you want to call it, into people that are trying to follow the word, the Bible. That's a bad habit, or the old man trying to revive itself, or just something that you is baggage that a lot of people bring with them, as far as over spiritualizing things and not actually literally applying them, right? And that goes along with this. Like the brother said, I'm gonna read it one more time. Unfortunately, many women and men today have a lazy mindset. Like you said, it's all about mindset. And that's why, I mean, you got a lot of so-called brothers in the faith that me and this brother were just talking about it too, right? I know me and him, and I'm not trying to talk down on anybody or anything like that, but me and him, our ribs will never be working for another man, right? Like we're never gonna send them to go work at a company, and then they're gonna have a boss, and that boss, like, they literally have to be obedient to somebody else.
Yeah.
When they're only supposed to be obedient to one man. You can't serve two masters, right? So imagine a woman going to work, and then she's serving a man for 8 hours a day, and then she comes home and now she got to serve another man, and she just, I mean, we all know, if you've ever had a job, you know how mentally taxing it can be, right? Even if you got a physical job, it's mentally taxing, right? So saying all that, um, when it comes to like being lazy, and when it comes to your mindset and stuff like that, we all have different mindsets, but women especially, I think, need guidance. Not think, I know,
For a
because even
fact.
my ribs told me this, right? They need consistent guidance.
Yep.
And even when that comes to the physical means, right? It was like I was talking to a brother, and it kind of came off, to some people it's going to come off as rude, right? But what was said is like this: how much does a man really love his woman if he's getting in shape and she's getting fat? Because think about it, you're one flesh, right? So imagine I'm getting all, but man, I gained 25 pounds in the last 4 months of pure muscle. Look at this. And my ribs over here gaining 10 pounds a month. Are we really on one accord? Are we really one flesh? Do I really care? Like it says, you're supposed to care for them as much as Yahushua care for the church, right? So am I really on one accord with her in that way? I mean, to be honest, you already know the answer. You know you're not. You're caring more about your own self. Okay. So a lot of times as the man, right, being the head and being the stronger vessel, it may come off as the wrong, or it may come off as rude, but whether it be about the scriptures, I know a lot of brothers would be like, hey, you know what? It says we got to keep Sabbath. We can't cook on Sabbath. No, you can't cook on Sabbath. Not in my house. So you should be able to be that austere or that serious about too. Like, hey, look, you know what? I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but look, you gained this much weight in the past this many months. We're gonna work out together.
Yep.
Like, you know what? You don't want to do. I've been doing boxing. You don't want to do, but I can hold pads for you. No, you don't want to do that. All right, then we'll exercise together.
You gonna do something?
You don't want to lift weights? Okay, well, I know you used to run in high school. You don't want to run, your knees back. Okay, well, you used to play volleyball. Let's play volleyball 3 times a week. Something.
You gonna do something?
You're gonna do something to help them out and to get them out of that lazy mindset, like the brother said. And that's actually our job as heads, right? It's not just spiritual.
Yeah, you not about to, man. My rib already know. You ain't been seeing that. Didn't know why I'm working out.
Says order Barzia Judah, order will be restored. We're lighting the way. Think about a coal. The initial fire has to get hot to retain that heat. That's our role right now. Khan.
Mhm.
It's it's a lot I want to say, but don't want to be a distraction. The water for your labor, Akion, beautiful lesson as always. Revelation 3:18. I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear, and anoint thine eyes with eye salve, that thou mayest see. And most high willing, that's what we're doing. We're giving y'all a little bit of spiritual eye salve, allowing y'all to see his truth, right? And we're just being like those coals, striving to be like those coals. We're trying to be like that candlestick, right?
Don't be one of them thespian people, man. It's over spiritual.
Con.
That's the biggest thing.
Warrior's dream. Yes, many men out here lazy too, no doubt. A lot of foolishness goes on at these workplaces too. Don't get me started. Con. And you know what? that could be a whole nother lesson, because think about it this way. Or you know what? We're not even gonna get into that. I'll do it. We'll have to do a lesson on that soon. Tomorrow, tomorrow, yeah, I'll post up the link tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm gonna do a lesson on, I can't remember if it was the Trinity or the divorce. I think it was the Trinity that got more votes that I had put on my
I
my
thought you was
story.
gonna do the vows.
Oh, I'm gonna do that one eventually. Those are the
I
next
voted
like
on
three.
that. I'm saying, yeah, I voted on that one.
On vows?
Yeah, I voted on that one
Okay,
first.
con. And you know what? That goes along with this too, because most people don't understand this. Look, vows, making a vow to the Most High, right? When you get married, what do?
Make a vow.
You make vows, right?
In
And
front of the Most High.
it's not just to the person that you are marrying, right? It's before the Most High. You're verbally saying it because the Most High is a witness, and you're also supposed to have witnesses there. Like when this brother just got married, right? So that vow is very important. Obviously, like the Most High vowed or made a covenant with us, you keep the laws, right? And you're going to be blessed.
Mm-hmm.
You don't keep them, you're going to be cursed. But this is how important or how much power a husband has. And this is why we can't, like the brother just said here, many men out here are lazy, no doubt. We as men can't be lazy because how much power we have over our women or our wives is this. If a wife, and I'm going to ask you out because I already know, you know, and just for edification's sake to the people watching or that hear it later. Let's say your rib makes a vow to the Most High and you hear it. What power do you have in that situation?
Either I can hold my peace and let it stand, or I can say something and disannul it.
So he literally has, according to the Torah, according to the law of the Most High, he literally, or any husband, has the power to make void a vow that his wife tries to make to the Most High. Mm-hmm. That shows how much power a husband has, right? And now some feminists are gonna be like, "Oh man, that sounds so right," and then some brothers even are gonna be like, "Yeah, I mean, we're we have way more power. We're over them." They're gonna try and take that to their advantage, right? They're gonna run with it in a whole nother direction. But you have to understand what that means on the flip side, right?
It's great responsibility.
It's a huge responsibility. To whom much is given,
much is required.
Much is required. So that's a big responsibility. So now are you gonna allow your wife to be lazy?
Shit, no.
So now you're gonna allow your wife to not be or not possess or not use the type of characteristics that she's supposed to be using as a daughter of Zion or princess of the Most High or all these things that went Proverbs 31, daughter of Sarah.
Everything fall back on the man, bro. Like That's what keep me going. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a habit now. You know what I'm saying? It's a lifestyle, but it's a simple fact. If you really understand it from this perspective right here, that everything that you have is on lease from the Most High. So the wife you got, He gave that to you.
Children.
That's His soul. Your children you got, those belong to Him. And what you do with them and how they turn out is strictly gonna stand against you in the day of judgment.
Con. That's a crazy thing to think about when you think of
It
some of the
is, man.
marriages.
That be man, what? That's what I be thinking about all the time. I be like, damn, I ain't trying to be like that. It's like it says in Proverbs. It says, and this is I'm not saying nothing about myself. It's just what I've learned from watching other people and things like that. But it says in Proverbs though that it says, the righteous considereth the house of the wicked. They wisely consider the house of the wicked. Meaning, when you consider their house, you're just looking at it as like a learning lesson. Like, okay, what's going on in here that I ain't supposed to be doing?
Oh, con. And that's why it says all manner of scripture are given for our learning. So when you're learning scriptures, you could do it like the more Christianity based way of, I read this story, okay, good story. Moral of the story is this, got the moral. Or you could look at it the way you're supposed to be looking at. Okay, I see this story. Oh damn. Look, this exact, you see how Nabal is acting right there? This brother is acting just like, you see how Jezebel was doing this, and now look
Mm-hmm.
at this chick, man, she is acting, she got the same spirit. That's how you're supposed to be looking at it, right? So whether it be you see a brother or sister with righteous characteristics, and you could be like, oh man, this brother's being prudent. He's doing this, this, and this, just like the scriptures say. Or whether you see, oh man, this brother's being wicked, just like this person in the scriptures. It's all meant to play out and for us to be able to see these things in real life, in real time, because it is a real book and all these
Yep.
things already happened and there's no new thing under the sun.
Not at all.
So we have to look at it and apply it to our life and the lives that we see and use them all as examples, right? And again, that's why coming back to martial arts, why martial arts is such a beautiful thing, because all the lessons, the majority of the lessons that you can learn in the Bible, man, you could see when you're learning martial arts. And you know what? You're talking about Jezebel, bro. That's why you got to stay out of some Jezebel, out of some gyms, man. Jezebel's all day,
Oh, he in there.
and that's why me as a higher belt, and I don't say this in a prideful way, right? Me as a higher belt, I can, according to Jiu-Jitsu etiquette, I can be like, oh no, sorry, bro, I'm not gonna roll with you, right? Like I had told you, I went to that other open mat at that other gym, and
Uh-huh.
there was a couple females. One of them, she asked me like 3 times, "Hey, you want to roll with me?"
Nope.
And I was like, "No, I'm good. Like I don't roll with females." Right? And that's, there's so many lessons you could learn from martial arts. So ones you wouldn't even think of. But the Bible pertains to everything in life, and like I always say, for every situation that you go through, there's at least 2 or 3 witnesses in the scriptures to show you how to move in that situation, right? Kingdom minded, yes. Is being lazy a stronghold? Con, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I've already done that lesson 2 times. One a couple months ago and one years ago. It said something along the lines of a workman's spirit
Sluggard.
or a sluggard,
I remember watching that.
right? And it's definitely a stronghold, because you think about it, most people are in that stronghold of being lazy, right? You got men that don't want to work but their wives do. You got women that don't want to clean but their husbands do,
Yep.
right? You got people
All
that
over the place.
people that are just on social media all day or Netflix all day, and their children are little bad. They're
Just call them
wicked,
bastards.
right? They're bad. They're wicked children. You got all types of laziness, bro.
According to scripture, they call them bastard slips.
Bastard slips, con. But con, with that, give all praise to the Most High, Yahweh, in the name of His Son Yahushai. I pray it was edifying, and not just edifying again, mentally or knowledge wise, but that you get something out of this to apply to your life, and it becomes wisdom. And like I said, this is just 7. Well, we went over 8 lessons um, through jujitsu or martial arts. But man, I'm sure later in the future, maybe a few weeks or months down the line, we'll do part 2, because there's so many. I can name at least another 10. at least another 10.
That's how heavy it is being a man. So many different things that you gotta know.
Khan, for sure, for sure. And Khan, Shalom, Ak, all praise to the Most High, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakathon to you and your family as well. And to all the brothers and sisters on here that are striving to follow the word in truth, sincerity, humility, and all you brothers especially, like the scriptures say in Ezekiel, men are the sheep of the Most High's flock.
Yes, they are.
And yes, women are part of his flock, but guess what? He's dealing with the men first and primarily. That's why women aren't supposed to teach.
Exactly.
Right? And not saying anything bad about women. Y'all, like, hey, me and this brother and none of these other brothers can bring a soul into the world. Right? That's what y'all got over us.
Yep, I give you that.
That's what you could literally bring a soul into the world through you.
You got a portal down there.
Right? That's probably like the definition of a portal. You're bringing something
that's a real portal
out of the world that's not alive into this world, right? But again, I'm talking to mainly to you brothers. Do some martial arts, learn how to fight, and it is going to open up your understanding to all different areas of life, especially spiritually, mentally, physically, but mainly, like we know, spiritually. Peace and blessings, Warriors Dream. Hope you and your family are good. Shalom. And like I said, most high willing, tomorrow, I believe it was the Trinity that got the most votes. So I'm gonna do that lesson tomorrow because I'm off for Saturnalia, and then I'm off the next day as well. So shalom, and as always, all praise to the Most High.